Is this how we're starting stream today? Alright, I guess it is. Guten Morgen, half a day in Hercule. My dog decided today, of all days, is how we're gonna start. We're gonna start by playing.
Today we will play fight over the squeaky toy. Literally as you hit the start button, she's like, oh, it's time to play! And it's like, what? No! So if you hear growling, they're playing. They got a little squeaky tiger toy. Anyway, it's time for more Agatha Christie Hercule Poirot, the first cases. Where do we leave off? Exploring the garden, chapter 5. Blondie, go play with your sister. Alright, investigate the foreshadow things.
Oh, that's right, he doesn't read his thoughts. There's a small trail of footprints in the snow. The Major was seen walking around here yesterday. So was I! A well-made lighter with the insignia of a military regiment. The Major must have dropped it. I'm sorry. I hear the squeaky toy. It's not even the tiger, it's the bone now. Oh, where's my mouse?
There it is. Oh yeah, zoom out. Oh, tools?
Garden tools have been left out, presumably before the snow fell. Hi, Blondie, go play with your sister. Howdy, partner. Russell's watching. Hi, Gabe. Again. And hello, Russell. You beautiful cat to you. I love you. Dogs were growling earlier because they're playing.
Oh.
It must have been left out for collection. I cannot see anyone making it through this snow, though. Hi, Russell, man. I'm a smooch ya. I'm gonna smooch that cat.
Because all cats deserve smooches. Nope, found your belt, Blondie. It's okay. Saturday! Anything else? Fallen bird feeder. Did you tie yourself already? Put it back. There you go. Here's your toy. It has almost disappeared in the snow. I doubt we'll see too many birds in these conditions. I mean, it's got a point. Alright. I found any clues? No, but I need to continue inspecting the garden. What have I missed? Aha. Exit. Inspect all items hidden in the snow. The house is completely snowed and it does not look like we should be going anywhere anytime soon. The snow is still falling and I'm hardly dressed for the occasion. I believe I've gathered everything that is required. Monsieur Stanley will be able to assist me in getting access to the Major's study. Oh, excuse me. Somebody's sending me messages. Archibald! Come hither!
Whatever you need, Detective. Certainly, Detective.
She's doing it again. Yes? I almost want to bet money that toy's gonna come flying over here. She knows how to do it. Your heart rate is low. You sound squeaky and off. No! Yeah. Which is weird because I was playing with the dogs earlier, so there's a chance that the heart monitor is not reading correctly. 1 second. Let me check. I probably should just take baby mode off. Because I have it set to where if it gets to 55, it's like, oh, your heart rate is very low, Nina. You clearly need to do something. So, Caffeine it is. Or I could just try to play with the dog for 2 seconds. How to get even lower? How to get even lower? Anyway, the room is still a crime scene and should have remained untouched, but it looks as though it's been ransacked. Alright, how to raise the heart rate. Let's see.
Play with a vicious animal. No.
Alright, stretchies. Stretchies usually do it. I just gotta hang out upside down like a bat.
Nope. Why is our heart rate so low? Is it the monitor?
Itself, maybe it's not in the correct position. Don't look at me like that. It says that apparently for normal people, you're supposed to like wet the band before you put it on, and I'm like, that's weird. But maybe that's the case today. Or it could just be broken. It could just be broken. What if we just do no heart monitor? Can I fix that on stream? Can I turn off baby mode? Oh, look at that! Instantly, 71! Sure. Was it the licking or was it the exercising that made it jump up? Yay, heart monitor! Okay, well. Apparently we're too calm. Even with playing with joggos, we still have a calm heart rate. Alright, requested Monsieur Sterling to have the body wrapped and moved, which has been done, thankfully. What else has gone on here? Now we're at 101. Maybe it's the caffeine. Maybe it was the caffeine. Someone was obviously looking for something in particular in the Major's documents. These accounts have been thoroughly rifled through. The Major has recently taken out a large loan, and the interest rate is astronomical. Loan for what? Isn't he getting, like, paid regularly? Addressed to the Major, with no return address. Chucking toys. Ooh, photographs. I must admit, side by side, there is a striking resemblance between me et Phil. Perhaps such flattery is the way to win over Madame Von den Bosch. What, Kath? What? What? Can it over, Madam? I gotta mute my phone. I didn't realize it was still on. Oh, so precious. Oh, wait, did you rip off the husband part of the portrait? How strange, the Viscount was also present in the picture, but has been folded out. Well, that's a rip, bro. I did not think there was any hostility between the Major and the late Viscount. You see this? Yeah. That didn't go very far. That was a bad throw. That's on me. Hands are covered in spit. How strange. I could not access this yesterday, but now it has been left wide open. Scratches are obvious around the lock. Someone in this house was eager to see the safe's contents. A half-sealed letter addressed to Madame Von den Bosch from the Major. I'm not one to read others' private mail, but under the circumstances. My dearest Cassandra, it feels as though it has been an age since I've been able to set my eyes on you, a day I have waited for so impatiently. I keep the photograph of us together at the lake close to my heart, always. I cannot wait to see how young Angeline has grown. Her beauty will surely soon reach that of her mother's. Ooh, what's happening? I hope the gifts from the Orient reached you fine, and they are really something to behold. The work that has kept me away for so long is drawing to a close, and I will be returning to the continent within the month. At your request, I have found accommodation in the city. It pains me to think of being so close and yet unable to be with you every moment, but if it eases your worry, I shall not continue to question it. I will arrange for a visit to the house. An old friend returning will surely raise minimal suspicions. Cassandra. I understand that the Viscount is also currently out of country. I hope you have not felt the strain of loneliness take over, and it will not be long until we are reunited. Until that day, until the end of mine, my heart is yours. Major Felix Hagen. They were a thing. It seems there's a great deal of Madame Von den Bosch to the Major's relationship that she has withheld. It is clear from this letter that their affection for one another has been more than that of friendship for some time. The mention of young Angeline suggests it may go back as far as 20 years. Well. Hold on. Remember, walking around is bad. That's it? Okay, we got 2 links. Alright, what do we got? Cassandra and the Major's relationship issues. Angeline questions Cassandra's reasoning for the thing.
Come, grey cells.
Alright. Cassandra suspects Hugo. Major didn't have much to his name. What else is new? Try that.
Is there something I am not?
Oh yeah, he didn't send it.
I must take a different approach.
Okay, so Angeline Cassandra. Angeline attached to the major. Ransom value, large sum. Okay, so let's try those.
Some would say a lot.
The major paid the letter that was addressed to him. He must have been worried that something would be released to the public, but what? Is Angeline not the Viscount's daughter? Is that it? The major paid the blackmail ransom. Is that it?
The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together.
The hidden photos of them, along with Angeline's attachment to him, proves he cared deeply for them. The major cared about them. Paid the money?
This will not get me any closer.
Confessed?
Order and method. That
Issues?
things are beginning to become.
I believe the major would do everything to remain in the comfortable life he's accustomed to, but would he stoop so low as to fake a blackmail letter? The major faked the blackmail? But he sent the first letter.
Another success.
The evidence shows the major was not the author of the blackmail letter. Yeah, the major was a victim just like Mademoiselle Angeline. However, whoever it is that is penning these letters knows a great deal about many people. I wonder how many more have received similar letters. Good question. I'm gonna take my bracelet off. It keeps hitting the desk. My bones are not happy about it. I will watch that Instagram reel during breaky time. Investigate the blackmail. That's solved. Alright. The uncertain connection between the major and the ransom has been resolved. The major was being blackmailed. The letters were not written by his hand. What remains unresolved is why the major is being blackmailed. 2 cases of extortion under one roof. The question of the relationship must be asked. The major's secret is anything but obvious from his letter. I now have a blackmailer and a murderer and the weapon to find. If the correct process is followed, they shall be found swiftly. I should take my leave. This room has already revealed enough new insights into Madame's and the major's lives. Yeah, we gotta talk to Cassandra.
Detective Poirot, I have been asked to inform you that Lady Van den Bosch has returned to her room, and she wishes not to be disturbed.
Madam.
Merci. Madame certainly has mastered the art of subtlety.
They may not be the exact words she used, but I'm sure you can imagine. Excuse me, I have some further duties to attend to in the pantry.
Alright, perhaps I should take this opportunity to search the top floor now that there's no one to disturb me. There is one floor that holds particular interest. The forbidden room? I should inspect the storage room while I have this rare opportunity. Top floor, you say? Oh wait, I am on the top floor. Wait, can I go into Cassandra's bedroom? Even though she told me not to disturb her? Nina! She just said she doesn't want to be disturbed. I have questions. I'm a detective.
Huh.
Madame Van den Bosch's collection of art extends further than just paintings. And then fireplace, we know. It's gonna do the whole, like, I could stare at it for hours. Perfume bottles. These perfume bottles look rather expensive. It'd be wise to be very careful with them. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's try talking to her. See what happens.
Detective Poirot, what do you think you are doing in here?
A lot.
I have something I wish to discuss with you.
Well, I hope it is important enough to justify barging into one's bedroom.
I assure you it is.
Good, because this has gone on far too long. We are snowed in this house while a murderer runs amok.
I can understand your frustrations, but it is not as simple as...
You were once an incompetent officer, and now it seems you are just as incompetent as a detective.
If I was not being lied to and misled at every turn, perhaps the murderer would already be in custody.
I hope you are not suggesting I had something to do with Felix's murder.
I am suggesting that if I had the support that everyone claims they are offering, we would be in a very different situation.
If you have something you want to ask, I suggest you ask me now.
I'm gonna ask you about this letter, bruh.
I'm sure he has hundreds of letters in there. Most of them could and should have been thrown away a long time ago. You are going to have to be more specific.
I refer to the letter addressed to you, the one of a romantic nature.
Romantic nature? Please, Detective. Felix did not have a romantic bone in his body.
Wait, was it?
He made his intentions quite clear in the letter. I must admit I myself was surprised.
You really do have quite the active imagination, Detective. If that is how you wish to interpret it, so be it. But I can assure you, the Major did not think of me that way, and certainly did not include it in a letter. We met before Angeline was born, so he was often at the house when she was growing up.
And where was it you two met?
I was attending an event. Felix was also in attendance as a serving officer. A conversation was struck.
So it was not through the Viscount that you two met?
I did not require my husband to start conversations on my behalf.
It was you that instigated it then?
My, Detective. That active imagination of yours has taken you on quite some journey.
Madam is attempting to deflect from a subject she obviously does not feel comfortable discussing.
Edwin spent much of his time away on business before Angeline was born. Felix was a welcome distraction from the loneliness of the house.
You know, she might not be just trying to speak ill of her friend, but it's like, if that's how she really feels, I feel bad for Felix, where it's like, oh, you were just a distraction while my husband was away. While, meanwhile, he's over here, like, pouring his heart out to her.
You were alone in the house.
The staff continued their duties, of course, but trying to get any sort of sophisticated or cultured conversation from them was like drawing blood from a stone.
Okay, I don't feel bad.
And when Angeline was born?
Edwin remained at home. It was his duty as a father.
And the Major?
He had his own business and life to tend to, but we remained in touch via letter. Around the time of Edwin's passing, Felix had relocated to the area.
Madam is incredibly coy and brief with the information she offers, but with the Viscount's death coinciding with the Major's return, surely a mere coincidence is too far-fetched.
I think that is all for now. Merci, madame.
Merci beaucoup. Alright. No new links, so let's get out of here. Gotta keep an eye on my monitor now. I'm just like, eh. Do I need to look at a painting? I don't know. Last time you looked at a painting, you got that whole saint thing. Painting of a boat sailing across a vast ocean. The artist is clearly very talented. Did you look at the painting?
Ah.
There are a number of spectacular pieces in Madame von Den Bosch's eclectic art collection. Speaking of art, I can't wait to display, like, one of the, like, official art pieces that I have. Like, it came in a box and everything, and it's just, like, fragile, handle with gloves, be careful, and I'm just like, so we're not gonna unpack this until we're somewhere uber safe. But I was just like, I just want to look at it, make sure it arrived okay, but I was like, no, what if I drop it? Painting of an atmospheric forest scene. This artist captured the ambiance of the forest perfectly. It was on sale. That's how I'm going to justify it. This artist is really good, and like his work sells out instantly. So the fact that they were like, oh, we're putting this on sale because, you know, it's technically a defect. And I was like, all I heard is that your rare art became rarer and it's cheaper than normal. And I was like, I'm just going to allow myself this one thing, this one piece of art, because I would love to buy all your art. But I'm not made of money, so I'm going to buy one and be like, I have one thing from them. I am happy. A painting of a majestic mountain, the tip of which pierces the clouds above. The attention to detail is fantastic. Admire all the paintings in the main hall. Oh. I could spend every waking moment reading about the adventures of the characters within these books. If we don't have time, there is a murderer.
Oh.
Gazing at the stars is truly one of life's simple pleasures. Alright. To the storeroom. This heating pad was a good investment. Is that a doll? Children's toys. A collection of children's toys, such a shame to see them stored away and not being enjoyed. Considering they have been kept in a storage room, they are all in almost perfect condition. My immediate assumption would be they belong to Mademoiselle Angélie. Did she not play with them? Grandfather clock.
Huh.
The time and skill it takes to build such a wonderful piece. It's an art form. Oh, book. A lone storybook rests here. It has obviously been read a great number of times, judging by the condition of the spine and pages. I am perhaps not the target demographic, but I understand it to be quite popular amongst a younger audience. To the real lady of the house, happy birthday. Ow, my eyeballs. Watching you grow into a proper young lady has been more than words can describe. All my love, Felix. Kind of love. I would not have expected to find such a heartfelt message written by Monsieur Hagen. And to Mademoiselle Angeline, is this the unusual inscription you would find from a family friend? It do be a little odd. I cannot seem to get a straight answer from anyone regarding the Major. I know he has been friends with Madame von den Bosch for some years, but I must find out if it was anything more. I'm almost wondering if he's the real dad of Angélie.
I cannot see the logic in this. I must act on...
Alone?
Is there something...
Alright, what is it? High interest rate, Major resided with the family for a long time. Cassandra, alright.
Magnifique.
It seems the Major's lived rather comfortably in the Van den Bosch house for many years. Which is weird that he's like, I need a loan.
I should not be surprised, but...
It is obvious that the Major cared for Cassandra. That is no surprise to anyone. Alright, so we gotta talk to Cassandra and Angélie. Is he the dad? Let's talk to Cassandra. He's the wrestle man.
Is this really necessary?
Yes. If you're correct and the Major had no romantic feelings towards you, why would he keep a photograph of y'all hidden?
He may have stayed in my home, but Felix was a grown man, Detective. What he kept, hidden or otherwise, has nothing to do with me.
But it does not surprise you that he had such a photograph?
We have been friends, and he has been there for Angeline for many years, but you find it strange that he keeps a reminder of us? Perhaps that says more about you, Detective.
What I do find strange is that if he did hold a flame for you, why he would never express it.
If he did, it was not reciprocated. I have not even considered another since my husband's passing. Not that it is any of your business.
I think that is all for now. Merci.
Okay. Okay. Who killed the Major? Like, all the guests have an alibi, but I'm like, did we interview the staff? No one interviewed the staff. Perhaps it's time to speak with Mademoiselle Angeline again. She should be able to give us the valuable pieces of this puzzle. Hello, madam.
Detective Poirot, are you any closer to uncovering the truth of Felix's involvement with the letters?
I am, mademoiselle. I can confirm that he was not the author of the blackmail letters.
So the author is still out there.
Oui, but it will not be long before they are apprehended, and the only letters they shall be penning will be from behind iron bars.
Your confidence is rather assuring. Thank you, Detective.
You got a lot.
I'm sorry, Detective. I did not intend to leave your mind so full of thoughts.
No apology is required. It actually made me question my whole chain of thinking. What if there had been a collusion between them, and the Major's murder was planned, organized, and orchestrated to make the investigation seem almost impossible?
Oh my, Detective, that is quite a theory.
Every guest has a motive. You confirmed that with the mention of Mademoiselle Conrad and the Major's fight. Supplying one another with a rock-solid alibi would surely throw off any detective.
But not you.
Woman, I'm trying to do my hair.
Correct, mademoiselle. It would take much more to stamp Detective Poirot.
Alright, while searching the storage room, I found a book that I assume was a gift from the Major to you?
I haven't seen that book in so long. Yes, it was a gift for my 10th birthday. I have read it from cover to cover countless times. He left such a lovely inscription too.
It sounds as though there is a side to the Major I did not get to see. Was it common for him to bring you gifts?
Not common, but if he had been away for some time, he would bring me a small memento from his travels. He hasn't done that in some time, though.
Well, he's dead now, so it's not gonna happen.
They were. I'm afraid they may have gathered some dust being in the storage room for so long. I kept them in hope of giving them to my child when the time comes.
It sounds as though he had always cared about you.
His presence at the house was comforting for us both after Father died, even if sometimes he was a little too overprotective. That's right. Ever since I can remember, Felix has been around.
It seems as though she has a number of support networks. The Major, her friendship with the Countess, not forgetting Monsieur da Silva.
Maman has many friends. I know how she may seem to most, but once you break the hard shell...
There is a further shell waiting to be broken.
Oh, very good, Detective.
Forgive me, mademoiselle. I only jest.
It's quite all right. You're not the only one that feels a razor tongue. She's grateful you are here, especially now, whether she shows it or not.
I'm still yet to see this version of Madame that Mademoiselle Angeline speaks of. I'm not sure I will get my hopes up for a budding friendship.
They have often come to blows when it concerns Maman. They are both trying to protect her, but they themselves cannot seem to get along.
She spoke of his desire to join the, how do you describe it? Social elite.
This isn't the first time she has vocalized that concern. She thinks the Major was just using our family name to make his way to the top.
And you do not agree?
I will not deny he has shown interest in Maman's social circles, but they have been friends since even before I was born. Surely all those years of friendship was not just to raise his social standing.
Mademoiselle Angeline obviously does not believe what the Comtesse had to say about the Major. Perhaps it is jealousy that drives her scandalous theory.
How do you mean, Detective?
I imagine a house of this size is rather costly, keeping it in the immaculate condition it is in.
Maman looks after the financial side of the house, but I think she has had to ask him more than once for a contribution of sorts. It is not for me to get involved.
I shall not keep you any longer. Merci, mademoiselle.
Okay, I have everything that's needed to push Madame von den Bosch on her secret. Do we? Do we? Alright, we got 2 things to link up now. What's the newest stuff? It's from... 10th birthday gift. Birthday gift?
Order and method.
Just no romantic feelings. But you kept him around.
I must take a different approach if... I must act on thought.
Hasn't helped the house financially. Okay, so what am I looking at? Previous birthday returned. Major hasn't helped. Is it just self?
Come, my little grey cells.
Nope.
What a revelation!
With the Viscount gone, the Major stepped up and acted as a fatherly figure to her. The Major was acting as a father figure.
Some would say a lucky get.
As much as she tries to deny, Cassandra shared the Major's feelings in some capacity. Well, let's go find out. Nope, where are you going? Up the stairs. Up the stairs. Up the stairs. Hello, Cassandra. I'm back.
Is this real?
Yeah.
Who I allow in my house is none of your business. I do not have to explain anything to you.
I did not think you were one for charity.
I would not expect you to think much of anything. There is no need to talk on it any further, but I'm sure you will remember that, financially speaking, we have had our issues.
I have all the evidence I need to confront Madame von den Bosch. It is my approach to the questions that I must consider. She will no doubt be defensive when pushed, but that may be the only way, as she will not give up any information she does not want to easily. And yet you allowed the Major to reside here, even without contributing? Why do you protect the name?
Need I repeat myself, detective? There is no need to talk any more on the subject. Men and women can remain friends without any romantic involvement. I'm sure you are aware of that.
That is true. That is true.
Your insistent questioning on such trivial matters are getting on my last nerve. There is a murderer and a blackmailer to be found. That is your job here.
His declarations of love meant nothing to you? Judging by the Major's words and letter, it was not only one that he is... Let's just get into it.
Your continued probing into something that does not exist is becoming quite tiresome. There is nothing I can tell you that will magically present what you are looking for, detective. I have grown weary of this conversation, Poirot. There is nothing more to say.
Alright, there's something about your relationship that you are obviously refusing to elaborate, the love letters, the housing, or you continue reluctance to answer my questions in defensive nature. Maybe forceful? Oh, that was a good one.
Madame, you continue to withhold the truth.
And you continue to get on my last nerve. I am not obliged to tell you every detail of my private life.
But when it impedes my investigation...
Believe what you wish. You clearly have no idea what you're talking about. My personal life has nothing to do with your investigation. I don't know how else it can be said. Keep your nose out of my business.
Sorry, became Sherlock again, just with the sniff sniff.
Who I...
Alright.
I...
Alright, so we're just forceful.
He was a man that required no protection, detective. Especially from me.
That is the impression I had of him, which is why your defensive stance warrants questioning.
Your insistent questioning on such trivial matters are getting on my last nerve.
Antagonizing? Or suggestive? Let's try suggestive.
How many times do I have to tell you? There was no romantic feelings between us. I have grown weary of this conversation, Poirot. There is nothing more to say.
And then forceful.
Madame, you...
And you continued...
But when it...
If only you were this focused on finding the blackmailer and...
Madame.
Very well. I did not lie about how we met. I was attending an event, raising money for... Oh, I cannot recall now. It had been some time since I had returned home, and was rather missing English soil. I was aware of Felix's invitation, or at least that there was to be several British officers attending the party, and that is where our friendship began. He was a warm reminder of home, and I enjoyed conversing with him. We shared walks in the park and read together. As I said, he was a welcome distraction from the days spent alone.
Okay.
I shall go no further with the details, but I will say, I had no intention on being unfaithful to my husband. It was never our plan to go that far. Once I found out I was pregnant, I knew it had to stop.
Called it. Also, wait. He knows, right? Wrong button, Nina. He knows, right? Did he know? He had to have known.
The Viscount never questioned Mademoiselle's birth?
In his mind, he had no reason to, and he shouldn't have had to. It was my mistake to bear. If he knew the truth, our lives would have been ruined. I told Felix that he was to stay away, but he had no intention to. He became an uncle figure to Angeline, and they grew closer after Edwin's death. I could not tell her the truth. Too much time had passed. The secret remained only between him and I. Until now.
And what were the Major's thoughts on revealing the truth?
He wanted to tell her everything. He wanted her to know exactly who he was. But I told him no. It would not have been the poignant reconciliation that he expected. She would not understand.
Okay.
I tried to retrieve them from the safe after everyone had retired last night. But when I opened the safe, they were nowhere to be found. I assumed he must have hidden them somewhere else.
Were you the one who made the mess?
When I entered the study this morning, they were as visible as a red notice on a police station wall.
I would appreciate if you did not compare them to the face of a wanted felon.
Pardon, madame.
But that does mean someone else in the house has seen them. I don't understand. Why would they return them?
A mystery that is still yet to be solved.
Madam was beaten to the safe by another. It seems we also have a thief within these walls to add to the list of criminals, but a thief that returns their spoils.
It must be. But I have told no one.
And the Major?
Felix promised me he wouldn't tell a soul, and I believed him. Not even if he wanted to.
If the Major had let slip even once throughout the years, perhaps in an intoxicated state, it is a secret that many would seek an opportunity to gain from.
You did not think anyone knew, and that is why you disregarded the letter.
If you bow to these criminals, they will only try to claw more from you.
I think that is all for now. Merci, madame.
Alright, the uncertain connection between the Major and the ransom has been resolved. The Major is being blackmailed. The letters were not written by his hand. What remains unresolved is why the Major is being blackmailed. 2 cases of extortion under one roof. The question of the relationship must be asked. Major's secret is anything but obvious from his letter. I now have a blackmailer and a murderer, and their weapon to find. If the correct process is followed, we've already had this dialogue. I should take my leave. This room has already revealed enough new insights into the Madam and the Major's lives. Oh, it's like the same dialogue. I had my suspicions that Madame Van den Bosch and the Major shared a romantic relationship, but I did not expect the revelation of his connection to Mademoiselle Angeline. I'm now one of the very few that hold Madame's secret. I don't know, I got a feeling that, Comatas might know. Comtessa. Okay. Nothing. We're just gonna leave this room and maybe something will happen. Did you want to talk to me, Archibald? You don't have...
Detective Poirot.
Monsieur Sterling, I must admit, I have learned much more than I was expecting to.
Why does it feel like he's about to throw me down the stairs?
You'll be wrapping the case up soon, then.
One has never finished learning, monsieur, and in this case, I shall need to continue if I am to find the Major's killer.
It might help to vocalize your thinking. I'm all ears.
Monsieur Sterling offers an interesting concept. If I was to state the current position of my investigation, while holding back certain truths, the guilty parties may realize I am hot on their heels and reveal their hand.
Monsieur, would you gather the guests and staff in the salon?
Right away, Detective. Can I ask for what reason?
I shall reveal all once everyone is together.
Chapter 5 done. Let's go. Oh, he's playing the piano. Oh, and the staff is here. Wonderful. Everyone's here. The search. Oh. I was vibing.
Detective, what is the meaning of all this?
Madame, I ask that you all lend me your ears for only a few moments. What I have to say is of great significance to everyone. You are all invited here to celebrate the engagement of Mademoiselle Angeline van den Bosch and Monsieur Gédéon Demire, the coming together of two prevalent families. But the celebrations were short-lived, as Major Felix Hagen was found dead in his study by a young servant of the house. It then became my responsibility and obligation as a detective to uncover the truth behind his demise. My initial examination of his study exposed a number of things I did not expect to find. Things I have no desire to divulge at this time, but what I can say is this. It was no simple murder. A letter demanding ransom for a continued silence confirmed this. I am sure some, if not all of you, have heard whispers of a series of blackmails that have plagued the social elite in recent weeks. After hearing of the letters in the Major study, you may ask if it was him behind the letters. You may further ask if he was preparing his next threat to another unsuspecting victim. It is a question that crossed even my mind. That was until I sought the truth. That in fact it was the Major that had fallen victim to our blackmailer Mystérieux. Last night I spoke with you all, confirmed your whereabouts in the house over the course of the evening, and while I would have expected such questioning to reveal a potential suspect, what I learned was that it could not have been one of you.
What do you mean, not one of us? The man was stabbed. He hardly did that to himself. There is still a killer in the house.
Pardon, monsieur, if you would allow me to finish. It could not have been only one of you. Rather a partnership, in cahoots, if you will. Conversations today have revealed facts that I was not expecting to discover. And although they may have muddied and complicated my investigation, what I must do to bring the guilty parties to justice has become clearer. Those of you that spun stories in an attempt to confuse and derail my investigation have made a grave mistake in underestimating my intelligence. Other detectives may fall for such deception, but I can assure you, Detective Poirot is no such fool. My investigation is far from over, and swift justice shall be dealt to those that have committed such appalling acts and have continued to mislead and lie to protect themselves. Now, I must continue mon enquête, and I shall leave you to consider that you may be beside a cold-hearted killer. Bonsoir. Monsieur Sterling, un moment.
Okay. I realized
Quite the speech,
Ooh.
Detective.
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't muted or anything. I was literally just talking without making sound because I was like, I don't want to interrupt his dialogue, his speech, but I was like, I'm just gonna go grab a brush and fix my hair. Because I took a bath this morning. So you know like how you normally you dry your hair with like the sun? I had to use cold human air and I was like, ugh, I don't like how it feels. So I was like, it just needs a nice brushing. But I'm curious why his mouth stayed and then like during other parts of the conversation it would move, be animated. So.
Merci. But it was not made to entertain. More to warn the guilty parties that I am hot on their heels, no matter how clever they believe themselves to be.
Is it Archibald? Archibald, did you stab him?
Well, if there is anything I can do.
Because, like, the fact that you said you've seen worse than a stabbed body in this house, I'm just like... Is that because you've done worse?
Is that really necessary?
It's about to be.
The murderer remains at large, and there is still no sign of the weapon. I would say that makes them essential.
Of course. I still cannot imagine any of them.
Oh, I'm
being
sorry. Did I
guilty of
break
his
your
murder.
concentration?
Yes! Hi, Toady! Hickey in. Holy fudge. I was just like, I thought somebody shot Archibald for a second. I was like, no! I'm here. I'm awake. Hi.
It may be hard to imagine, but it is the truth.
How are you doing? I hope your day is going well. Hold on. Zombicide. Wait. Found possibly complete without asking for more money. Zombicide Maker will complete 2 failing Kickstarter projects from Darkest Dungeon board game studio. Oh. Okay.
Nothing. But I was so preoccupied with the major. Sorry, detective. Should I have?
Yeah, it's fine. Morning.
Perhaps it was just my mind playing games again.
Maybe one of the guests got lost and wandered in.
Excuse me. If a guest had taken a wrong turn, find themselves in the major's bedroom first, I'm sure they would have not proceeded through the next door, unless they were not lost at all.
Master Hagen had a key, obviously, and Lady Vandenbosch.
Monsieur Demir was quite sure Archibald also had a copy of the key. It is not something one would easily forget.
When requested, aye. If something is required from there when Master Hagen is not around.
Forgive me. If he is not around, how is it you access this safe?
It's not what you think, detective.
Then tell me.
What I think is that you have been trusted with a copy of the key, and you have lied to me about it.
I only lied because of the trouble I can get into with Lady Vandenbosch.
Do you see her? She's not here.
At this moment, monsieur, you should be more worried about the trouble you shall find yourself in with the law.
I know how it will sound, but I lost my key. I must have set it down somewhere, and it has been tidied away. Master Hagen asked so rarely for me to go in the safe, I didn't think it would be missed.
Monsieur Sterling's story of his lost key strikes me as rather coincidental. The major's safe is broken into with documents ransacked and the letters involving Madame Van den Bosch's secret left out. It is a crime with no apparent purpose.
I should have said this morning. I'm sorry.
Monsieur, I am not quite sure you understand the severity of what has happened.
I am well aware, detective. I just thought she would be able to help.
Would you allow a man with a smoking gun to remove his bullet from a victim's chest?
I suppose not.
I understand that Monsieur Sterling was the only trying to help, but surely he must have seen what it could do for the integrity of my investigation.
I would like to begin my searches now. Since it is closest, I will start with the West Wing.
I may not be back when you return. Here is the key to the other rooms. Please return it when you're done.
Merci. I shall guard it with my life.
Can you imagine having a house so big that you have wings? You're like, oh, I'll be in the East Wing, dear. And it's like, what? You have wings? It's like, yeah. East Wing, West Wing, South Wing, North Wing. First, let's pay the Comatesse a visit. New mind map. I'd love a house that big, right? Who wouldn't love a house that big? Before I can accuse anyone of any crime, I must be sure if they were working alone or with another. This is a perfect opportunity to find evidence of any collusion and look for the murder weapon. Think of all those rooms for Lego storage, bro. I'm just thinking of them for, like, all the freaking, like, anime figurines that I have, or just all my plushies, or my trading cards, or all my books, and movies, and art supplies, and puzzles, and I'm so sorry, future roommate, I got stuff. But I can tell you this. All my stuff is compact, and it fits in a Harry Potter closet. So, that's all you gotta worry about. I can spread it out. I can make it fill up a mansion. But, like, if need be, I could fit in a closet, you know? But Lego takes up so much room. Well, thankfully, I don't have a Lego fascination. I used to be into Bionicles. That was, like, my jam. I think I still have, like, 2 or 3 left, but I think they have, like, lost a piece here and there from just moving around so much and across country. All right, to Margot's room. But I like puzzles. Be so fun to have a puzzle room. I should make myself known before entering. My figures take up like 2 units, but my Lego is over that now. That's fair. Speaking of Legos, do you know how to make a Lego ball? The coma test room. It'd be rude to not address her before searching her room. Would it? Let's chat her up.
Detective, what a pleasure. I did not expect to see you in my chambers.
No, not wall. Wall's simple. Ball. B-A-L-L. A perfect sphere. Or as perfect as it could be with Legos. I was watching some Lego Master Builder, and they're like, in order to pass the test, what they do is they like give you a ball. And they're like, here, make this. Don't take it apart, but make it. And then once you make it, they're like, cool. And then they throw it on the ground, apparently. And if it breaks, they're like, build it again, but better, so it doesn't break. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a solid interview.
In a purely professional capacity, I can assure you.
There is no need to act so stiff, Detective.
Madame, after the revelation of your actions last night, I'm afraid my sense of humor is all but gone.
I will not apologize again for merely trying to help. Shall we get straight to it then? Let us not waste your time any further, Detective. That would be Inge. She has been one of the most promising young women that has come from the shelter.
Oh, nice.
Madame Vandenbosch took in a young lady from your shelter.
There is no need to sound so surprised, Detective. She does have a heart.
I did not mean to sound so cruel. I just did not expect Madame to hire someone of that background after the incident with her previous maid, Florette.
People change, Detective.
Believe me, Countess, I know that only too well.
Be careful, Detective. That almost sounded like a compliment.
It is your actions in this house that have been questionable, Madame. Your work outside is something that many more could take note of.
We do what we can. We wouldn't be doing a very good job if I could only help one girl. I in fact found work for one of them as a maid in Monsieur da Silva's house recently.
She has fitted into Monsieur's home well.
What is better, Detective? That she remained in an abusive house, or she is able to rebuild her life with an honest wage in a prosperous house?
When put like that, is she happy in her position?
Sorry, just dawned on me, Perot's hands. What is he doing? I think his right hand, I think, is like clipping through his sleeve, so it's looking like his wrist is broken. And it's like hanging up on the other wrist while his left hand is trying to hold something that's not there. Okay.
The happiest she has been in years. I check in with them all as often as possible. And if there was a problem, I would know.
I'm glad to hear that more girls are building a better future for themselves, and it is with the help from the coma test that has been able to happen.
Merci.
Alright, time to snoop. What's going on? The wonders of modern technology. What a joy it must be to have music in one's room. Oh, this is such a vibe. Perhaps the happy couple's engagement has someone in a particularly romantic mood. It's possible. Piano. Just check on the piano.
Aha.
Chance play is very tempting, which will save the embarrassment. First aid kit. Hello. Package. And plant. First aid kit full of medical equipment, bandages, plasters, antiseptics, and a pair of scissors. Perhaps a present for the family as a thank you for their hospitality. Is that something you have to do? Do you have to thank someone for inviting you? Oh, polite society's rules.
Go ahead, Detective.
Alright.
A compliment and now an apology. Well, Detective, you certainly have changed your tune.
Sometimes. Well, I'm like, if somebody invited me to a party. Well, I guess, hold on, I guess that tracks. Because it's an engagement announcement. It's not an engagement party. It's pretty much them being like, we're going to announce we're getting married. Cool. I'll be there for the night. Woohoo, congratulations, leave. I guess, yeah, you could give like a little gift. Or you would just save it for like the wedding.
There was something I was still unsure of. You mentioned that your training was some years ago.
From my days as a nurse, oui.
If that is so, why would you have brought several pieces of equipment usually found in a physician's bag?
One must always be prepared, detective.
Prepared? At an engagement celebration?
Yeah, I guess you'd bring a gift to an engagement celebrating because you're celebrating that they're engaged. It's kind of like a birthday party, I guess.
If I had not brought them, I would not have been able to assist you last night. Perhaps you should be thankful for my precaution and not so suspicious.
Assist me with what? He was dead! And had she not brought them at all, I would not have to ask such a question.
Merci, madame.
That was not very helpful. It's like you didn't do anything. The ever-guarded Jacqueline Conrad. It is time I should question her in our conversation with the Major before searching her room. Does that mean I have to interview all, what,
Detective,
6?
what can I do for you?
7 guests?
Mademoiselle, I am sure you understand my reasoning for such intrusion.
If it's going to clear my name, be my guest.
Pulsar found my video on TikTok. Oh, oh no.
If you wouldn't mind answering some questions, it can hopefully be cleared faster.
Like I said, he's not the man he wants everyone to think he is.
Oui, but how is it you came to that conclusion?
You don't really want me to recount every conversation I've had with him, do you?
There is one particular I had in mind.
An argument would imply it was a two-way conversation.
And that is not how it was?
Here it is. I've been helping Angeline get exposure, her marriage to Gideon is big news, and his work is really paving the way for others. I saw the chance to get their names out there, and he didn't like it.
Pulsar make Nina famous? No. I will say this. I think the only reason I ended up on their radar is because I don't want to say I almost broke their system, but you know like how you have like auto-updating script? So I have that on my videos, right? And I had like a Pulsoid referral link. And apparently every time I would upload a video and add that, it would refresh every single video I have, which would then send the ping for that referral link. So I get a message from them like on the Discord and they're like, hey, it's gonna sound totally random. What are you doing? And I was like, what? They're like, what are you doing? We're getting thousands of pings from your link every day. What is going on? And I was like, oh, my bad. And then as soon as I removed it from my videos, it no longer happened. Oops. So, yeah, that's probably the only reason. Because they were like, oh yeah, it's Nina, it's a little weirdo who almost broke the system. It's great. But yeah, they've found my TikToks, which is great.
What was there not to like?
Your guess is as good as mine, Detective. But if I had to, I'd say he was jealous it wasn't his name at the top of the article.
And his reason to storm off?
Oh, you know about that. Let's just say I didn't accept his pathetic attempt to get me to stop the story. If you're gonna try and pay someone off, at least make it worth their while.
I thought the Major would only be supportive of Mademoiselle Angeline. There must be more to why he would not want her success to be known. It is odd.
You've really got a fascination with that guy, huh?
I would not say fascination. An interest, perhaps.
He's dead. I'm investigating his murder. Of course I'm going to ask questions about him.
Well, I'll save you the bother of trying to find out more about him. He's not that interesting. In fact, he's a bit of a wimp if you ask me.
That is not the impression I got of him.
That's because you've only seen the side of him he wants you to. He knows what to say in front of the right people. But behind closed doors, he's clueless. Let me guess. The first thing he told you was that he was a union leader. No, the voice of the people.
Oh, she's talking about Hugo now, not the Major. Got it.
A man that is proud of his work is not something to be sneered at.
Don't get me wrong, he has a way with words, and he can certainly rally a crowd. But that's about it. At the end of the day, he's a representative and nothing more. He's got to play the part, not just learn the lines.
Mademoiselle does not think particularly highly of Monsieur Beckers. She is a strong, independent woman, but to use the term wimp is an unnecessary attack on his character.
Merci, mademoiselle. I shall leave you to relax.
Sure thing, detective. And if you change your mind on that exclusive about that shooting...
If I do change it, you shall be the first to know.
And we never change our mind. Alright, gramophone. Let's check the newspaper. Among them, a recent article by Jackie Conrad about the riots linked to Ernesto's factory. Peaceful strikes turn to loss of lives as violence breaks out on frontline. 4,000 riot, 5 dead? Following the tragic events in the city that has darkened the spirits of the people and brought to a screeching halt the rising defiance of the working class, the area has been cordoned off, and police presence at the scene has increased. Factory security forces have been asked to step down and the powers handed over to law enforcement services. Workers laid down their tools, switched off all machinery, and stood together shoulder to shoulder as the fight for fair pay and conditions raged on. What started as a peaceful protests... What? That supposed to be protests, not protests. What started as peaceful protests by those employed at the factories has turned into a battle of class. Okay, it works. With the support for the workers coming in from all over the city. Although reports have not been confirmed, sources state that violence broke out following a second wave surge of supporters. Sources state that violence broke out following a second wave surge of supporters. Official numbers have not been published, but it is believed that as many as 8 workers have lost their lives in the fighting. Your headline says 5. The workers' frontline has been considered as a representation of the people and working class of Belgium that now refuse to work in such demanding conditions for such a demeaning and insufficient wage. Chief Commissioner Laroux has confirmed that the outbreak of violence and resulting civilian deaths are being investigated, and an official statement is to be made in the coming days. Let's check our cupboard. There does not seem to be anything of interest in here. All right. Let's look at her workstation. Jackie has set up a makeshift office in her room. She must bring her work with her everywhere. Mr. Artigue spotted leaving the Velvet Tickle Friday at 11:15. Cambry House has been poaching off neighboring land, boar, deer, and duck. Maggie to follow up. Mrs. Bonte found her husband in their marital bed with a young maidservant. Testament from maid needed. Mr. Denault overheard in the cackling crow speaking poorly of King Leopold. He said questionable ideas. We say doubtful, skeptical, shady. Notes from Francis by Monday. Okay. All right, what you got, Jackie?
Go right.
All right.
All Felix cared about was money and filling his pockets with it. That's why he got into bed with De Silver.
The Major was not in need of money, though.
Need and want are 2 very different things. Did he need to move here and leech off the Madame? No, but he wanted to. As far as I know, De Silver hired him to work security. He was worried what could happen to his precious factories if things got ugly.
And your reporters were there to cover the story when it did turn that way.
My reporters go where there is news to be told.
And you predicted the violence that occurred?
Anyone could see that was gonna happen. If you ask me, Hugo should have acted sooner.
Merci, mademoiselle. I shall leave you to relax.
Okay, sus. All right, here we are, Mademoiselle Angeline in Gideon's room. I wonder what we shall find. Well, they're not even here, so... much things. There does not seem to be anything of interest in here. Photograph. Seems they used to be closer. Perhaps their recent behavior was merely a facade. Could it be possible that Gideon collaborated with Zack? Aww. Maybe it is a facade, right? It's like, let them believe we're two brothers who hate each other so we can murder the Major. I could have mistaken it for my own. Is there anything else? Besides grandfather clock and fireplace? Oh.
Huh.
Time it takes to make this. Maybe the globe? Wonder how many travel expeditions have been enjoyed over this globe. Pretty standard dialogue we've seen before. Fallen snow has laid a beautiful white blanket over the countryside that surrounds the house. I don't see anything. With all my West guests' rooms searched, I should make my way to the guest rooms on the east of the first floor. There must be evidence of collusion somewhere. I'm telling you. Servant! What if it was Elizabeth? Could you imagine? Wait, do they want me to go back into the Major's room? It'll take 2 seconds to look. Oh, scrap paper. I didn't get you last time. Return to the scene of the crime alone for a second time. There does not seem to be anything of interest here. Okay. Well, now I feel suspicious being here, so we're gonna leave. Downstairs? Right, they're downstairs, I guess. First floor, because up here is forbidden. You sure you don't want to talk to me? You sure? Feel like you got some secrets.
Mademoiselle, we meet again.
Nina Sus calls me. I'm not sus!
Bonjour, Monsieur Poirot. Pardon, Détective Poirot.
Just a detective is quite all right.
Bon, can I help you with something? I was taking him a plate of food, but he didn't answer to my knocking.
You then entered the study.
I did. He wasn't moving. He just lay there.
I did not mean to upset you again. Seeing him there would be troubling for anyone, and I'm sure it is not a memory you wish to relive.
I suppose we're like a family. We argue, but most of the time we get along.
You must all be quite close, then.
Some more than others.
You refer to whom, mademoiselle?
Well, Maman Ray, sorry, Rihanna, she's been here the longest, and she's very close with Lizzie on account of Luke.
Sorry, did you just call her mom? You're about to call her mom. Hello?
Maman Ray is Luke's sister. You didn't know that?
No.
I thought she would have said. She talks about him all the time. It must have been awful, losing him in those riots.
What? I thought he just, like, died of, like, a disease or something.
Apparently, he was right at the front when they were charged. They didn't stand a chance. If I had been the one responsible for his death, I wouldn't want Maman Ray looking for me.
Oh, the staff definitely did it then.
Mademoiselle Rihanna, Maman Ray, she has expressed her desire for revenge.
Every time she talks about what happened.
How is it the knowledge of Luke's death has eluded me for so long? The death of a brother is certainly motive enough. I do not see an aggressive side to Mademoiselle Rihanna when we spoke, but I wonder if she would act on such impulses for revenge if the opportunity arose. Oh, I hope so. I mean, no. Murder is bad, Nina.
I guess you wouldn't know anything about life on the streets.
It is not an experience I have had to face personally, but I understand that many are forced into it, and the lifestyle that comes with it.
The lifestyle of a thief, you mean?
Put rather bluntly, oui.
You are the first officer that has not taken one look at me and pulled out their handcuffs.
Mademoiselle, I can see you have turned your life around, and I commend you on your efforts.
Without the Countess, I would probably be rotting in a cell somewhere.
There's an obvious alliance to the Comtessa and an understandable one at that.
Merci, mademoiselle.
Okay. Well. Ing may seem nothing more than a young innocent maid, but there is something that she is withholding. If I am to solve the cases before me, I must learn what it is. Good question. Zach's room. I wonder if Monsieur Zach is as seemingly innocent as his brother. I should speak with him before searching his room. Hello, friend.
Monsieur Demir, I hope you are feeling better today.
He's got a croissant.
Nothing a good night's sleep couldn't fix.
Très bien. I wonder if you would be up to discussing certain matters with me.
Whatever you need.
Your croissant.
I lost my taste for death a long time ago, but it had to be done. I'm certainly in no rush to be carrying a dead body again, though.
Most understandable. I shall extend the same gratitude to you as I did to your brother.
You've spoken to him already. How is he?
Perhaps that should be a question you ask him yourself.
Yeah, maybe. I bet he had a lot to say. He always did have an opinion on the war.
When I say your past, I refer to your past as brothers.
Okay, well, what did he say?
It seems you both had the same sentiment for this party. Perhaps the bridges that you thought were once burnt are in fact primed to be reconstructed.
We'll see how probable that reconstruction is going to be. Until he sees my point of view, I don't know how we can move forward.
What is there for him to understand before the bond can be repaired?
He lost his friends in the war, the same as everyone. But somehow he has forgiven. I'm sorry, Detective, I can't. And Gideon just doesn't understand that.
I see. It's kind of like... What? Wasn't there like a thing after World War II? Like, obviously this is like not right after World War II, but it's like the 90s or early 2000s, but it's like a British soldier met a German soldier, and like apparently they had like, you know, their teams, battalions had like fought each other before, but they survived, so he was just like, oh, I remember you, and it's like, oh, what's up, man? And I'm just like, that's gotta be an interesting feeling to see somebody you were fighting against, but now you're like, cool, I guess? Neutral? Neutral's probably the better word. After speaking with Monsieur Gideon about his brother's state of mind, I think the best thing for them both would be a reconciliation. There is something about Monsieur Zach's story that he is leaving out, though. The death of his friends and comrades weighs heavy on him. Weighs heavy on anybody, bro.
Those two, close.
They must share something in common to be able to hold the conversation for the time they did.
If there is one thing I know about my brother, it's that he will not. No. He cannot be rude. He just doesn't have it in him.
Don't think a German soldier from World War II would be cool anywhere. I mean, probably not. But it's like, wasn't that like a breaking news story or something? Where they're like, you know, British met German, or like maybe they met a Russian. They met somebody who was on the opposition side. Maybe it was Japanese. But they met somebody who was on the opposition that they had like fought against. Something along those lines.
Was it not your brother that punched Monsieur Hagen?
Ah, that's different. He was asking for it. If you put my brother in a room with 5 socialites like her, he would work his way around every single one of them, offering his full attention and finest manners.
Merci for your assistance, monsieur.
That's not how you spell British, Nina. Try again. What? Why is this the auto-completion suggestion for Google? British soldier meets FNAF characters. What? Why is that the autocomplete suggestion? Did that happen recently? The room is littered with mess, cigarette butts discarded right next to the ashtray. Bro, you couldn't even take the time to put it in the ashtray? Rude. Ceremonial dagger? Ooh. An ornamental dagger from Zach's time in the war. I say this as our parliament welcome to a standing ovation recently. All because of the House Speaker. What? Why? Okay, interesting. Awkward. Alright, plants lean and rely. Okay, so we've done the plant stuff. Anything else? Window. Oh, let's talk to Zach about maybe the dagger?
Always got the dagger. I wondered how long it would take for that to become an issue.
I shall give you the opportunity to explain the reason for it being here before I jump to any conclusions.
It was going to be a wedding gift for Gideon. I've maybe not been the best brother in recent years. I thought this could make up for some of it. After what happened to the Major, I thought it was a bit tasteless.
Yeah. World War II enemies reunite in D-Day anniversary. This was like posted 2019. But it's like a lot of time has passed, but how do British and German veterans view each other today? We introduced two of them to each other for the first time. Okay, yeah, so it's like they both fought in the war against them. It wasn't specifically the same battle, but you know, they both fought in the same war. And they're like, oh, you were my enemy 60, 80 years ago. 80's probably too much. What am I thinking, Nina? Hold on. No, we're in 2024. That's like, it's 80. That's 80 years. Holy crap. Are they still alive? Oh, they must have been young. After what happened to the Major.
I did not see it fitting to tell me you were harboring a rather sizable knife in your room.
That's probably why they invited him, because it's like, okay, he fought for the army, but they themselves were not German. But then again, I don't know the history, so I can't comment on what they did. But it was in the past.
I wouldn't say harboring. And I wasn't expecting to be a suspect in a murder.
Well, you are now, buddy.
Merci for your assistance.
Oh. That's not fun. One can hope they didn't do certain orders. Oh, that'd be so awkward. God, yeah, that'd be awkward. Monsieur Becker's room. Without him here, I am free to search it. Perfect. What do you got? Book. More fireplace. Inside Hugo's notebook, I hastily scribble regarding a meeting with whom I assume Ernesto. Curious. Ooh, what's that, the note? It seems he's been attempting to write a speech of some kind, unsuccessfully though. I wonder, does this fit a pattern behavior with Hugo? You underestimate the power of man's defiance. You're men, you are in position to bring all of this to an end. All we ask is what we deserve. If you do not retract your men, they will be met with equal force, too forceful. Your weapons may beat our bodies, but they will not bruise our hearts, spirits. These are the men that have built our great nation country and will continue to. Money will not save your soul. I mean, I personally like, what's his name? These things. Ideas are bulletproof. It's great. It's a great line. Also, I just need to rewatch that movie because I did not realize how many V words are in his introduction. I was like, man, that's just impressive. With so many siblings, it must have been difficult for Hugo to get attention. Oof. Probably, yeah. Is he a middle child? Is he the youngest? Hold on. If he's the youngest, he definitely got attention. If he's the oldest, he got attention. If he's in the middle, yeah. Oh, I can combine things. Let's see, Hugo's new, but maybe something with Jackie?
This will not get me any close.
I know, I'm gonna get some wrong stuff, and that's fine.
Another success.
In Jackie's opinion, she doesn't value Hugo particularly highly. Would he collaborate with anyone else, I wonder? Jackie's unlikely to collaborate with Hugo.
Magnifique.
Hugo and Ernesto confirmed each other's alibis. It's possible that they may have colluded to murder the Major. Can I find anything to support this?
I cannot see the logic in this.
Okay, so you have to get 3 wrong in a row to get a hint. Okay, was kann ich machen? Gideon's room is pristine. Says Gideon was polite to Margot. Oh! Oh! That's fun. It's in the past. Did they say why they wanted this particular officer, soldier, person, veteran there? I'm assuming somebody did the research just a little bit, right?
Is there something I am not...
Quick Google search. Secret butts. Zachariah's hesitant to talk to Gideon. Photo of them. He's hesitant to reconcile. Maybe this?
I should not be surprised by my own skill.
The Demir brothers' estranged relationship is enough to suggest they would not have worked together. Okay, cool. Okay. Should be good. It's a transcript for the 11-minute video. The business-minded Monsieur de Silva's room. Do I need to talk to him first, or can I snoop around? Gotta talk to him first.
Monsieur de Silva, I am sure you understand the necessity for this type of search.
Not really, Detective. Your speech was rather spirited. But it did not give me much faith in your investigation.
I have not had my abilities questioned to my face by one of those I suspect of a crime before.
Well, if you wish to prove me wrong, you should hurry up and find Felix's killer.
And I hope, with your help, monsieur, I shall.
I mean, if there's... I'm guessing it's not just a quick answer of, like, they called him up because XYZ anniversary. I'm guessing there's, like, a whole reason.
Yes, I helped him invest some money. Unfortunately, he was not the businessman he thought he was.
Madame Vandenbosch had a very similar view. At least he could have taken solace that you are both in the same position.
I think you're confused, Detective. It was Edwin that lost his fortune, not I.
Oh?
Forgive my naivete. If you were helping him make viable investments, would you not have seen the same opportunity for yourself?
I told him about the opportunities. I did not tell him to put his whole family's wealth into it. The prospect of doing good meant more to him than his profit margins. He was bound to fail.
The business declared bankruptcy.
It did, until it was purchased for a fraction of its worth and made the new owner a small fortune.
I'm beginning to see Monsieur de Silva's more ruthless side. It sounds as though the Viscount was trying to at least make a positive change, but perhaps he was missing Monsieur de Silva's cutthroat edge.
Everything that I want to say on that matter has already been said.
I understand, monsieur. But what I would like to know is, was the late Viscount aware of your feelings towards his wife?
Pero! There's subtler ways to ask that!
Excuse me, Detective, but you have crossed the line.
Crossed the line like an attempt to bankrupt a business partner and friend so that you'll be able to swoop in and impress a certain target of your affections.
You make such ridiculous accusations without a shred of proof.
Your reaction at the mere suggestion is proof enough, monsieur. While I cannot arrest you for betrayal of a friend, I can hope your conscience does not forget, and that will be punishment enough.
Monsieur de Silver's actions are not a criminal offense, but if there was a penalty for deception and deceit, he would surely receive a life sentence. If he has gone to such lengths before, what would stop him from committing a similar act again, this time to the Major?
He didn't have much to speak of. I was always surprised at the life he lived.
Surprised in what way?
Well, considering it wasn't that long ago he came to me asking about work, I didn't think he was in such good financial shape.
You offered him a position.
Nothing that he was willing to lower himself to. That's when he began talking about what else he could do for me. If you can call what him and his team did security. For the money I paid, I did not expect them to be so reckless.
Aww.
It was a considerable amount you paid him?
Ah, warmth.
There's no need to divulge amounts, but it was certainly more than was expected.
One would expect a business of Monsieur de Silver's caliber to have agreed a price. Agreed a price for the Major's services? Agreed to a price? Why would he allow the Major to barter more?
He said they were all professionals, but I saw nothing of the sort. He said he had worked with them all in the army as their superior officer. They were men that could be trusted.
But that was not the case?
I had not even met them before they arrived on site. They brought their own equipment. They looked like they knew what they were doing.
And this equipment, it included the weapons that injured and killed the workers?
It was not much of a choice, Detective. I said they didn't need them, but Felix said it was essential. He said he knew better.
The more Monsieur talks, the shadier his dealings with the Major become. It's beginning to sound as though the riots were no accident. Uh-huh. Okay, so his family asked if he could attend it, and they were like, sure, you can come to the meeting. And then no one checked, which is fine, you know, whatever. If he wants to attend a meeting, he can attend a meeting. But then to have the speaker point him out, and then everyone rises and claps for his service in World War II. Whoa, interesting, interesting, okay. Is that maybe them trying to, like, bridge a gap of peace? Be like, hey, I know we were enemies a long time ago, but now you're here.
That is all for now.
I'm curious. Like, was it supposed to be like a peace thing, or is it just a big oversight where they're like, no, wrong side? Huh. A contract for a partnership between Ernesto and Hugo. It's missing Hugo's signature. This agreement is governed by the laws of the Kingdom of Belgium. Both parties agree to the following. Current workers' strike shall cease in all manners and forms. Factory floor machine operators and supervisors shall return to positions. Terms of the above contract shall be implemented and relevant action taken directly. Okay. Is that what they're calling it? Or are they at least being like, ooh, our bad? Have they done any damage control yet? A later stating the blackmailer would reveal information of its questionable business dealings. Okay, so he's getting blackmailed too. At first, you may question the nature of this letter, but by its conclusion, you will know that what you have fought so hard to keep hidden could be far from it. You spent years feeding off of the hard-working backs of others and offering nothing in return. Your workers continue to take their lives into their own hands. Oh, excuse me. Day after day with your shoddy, damaged, and dangerous machines for a fraction of what they deserve. Deal after deal's made, and while your pockets become fatter, lining them with more of your blood money, it is your workers that must pay the price. The mistreatment and pain you've caused does not only reside in the factories that you own, but the house that you live in. You do not value the lives of those that allow you to live the opulent life that you do, and I will not allow that to continue. I can no longer sit back and watch as you disregard any sense of integrity or morality and continue to remain on your self-made pedestal, lording over those that deserve so much more. It is time you paid the price for your crimes and the cost of 5,000 francs. It's a small price to pay for my silence, for I do not receive it before Friday. It will not be cash you're paying, but rather years behind bars. Bring the money in a small brown paper parcel addressed to Monsieur Cordier to the post office on Rue des Entrepôts. Give it to the cashier and leave. If you do as requested, you will not hear from me again, and you may continue your life of luxury. It is obvious you do not value others' lives, but I urge you to consider what yours is worth. Let's see. Oh, they did? Oh. Yeah, like, him attending wasn't the issue. It's having him applauded and noted was the main issue. Yeah, no, like, that's pretty much what I said, where I was like, him showing up is not the issue. The issue is they applauded and they're like, congrats on your service. It's like, did you mean that? Speaker's gone, the office overhauled, and the invite and honor system is being changed for all members of Commons and Sense. Invite and honor system? What's that? Alright, let's talk to Ernesto.
What is it?
Ooh, I could push on him or I could talk to him. Let's talk to him first before we push.
Yes, and no one asked them to.
But surely it is beneficial to both parties. Your profits must have been affected.
There are barely any profits to speak of.
Why have those talks not taken place and a deal arranged?
Monsieur Beckers has made no attempt to speak with me and offered no counter-offer. The ball is in his court, detective.
Although it is Monsieur de Silver's wages and treatment of his staff that is in question, it sounds as though he is at least trying to resolve the issue. Surprising, unlike Monsieur Beckers.
I have spoken of a potential blackmail ring, and yet you still kept your letter to yourself.
It is none of your business. And it is nothing more than a cheap trick to have me admit something that is not true.
If that were the case, it would be strange for you to have kept the letter and brought it with you, would it not?
Your persistence is a trait I do not enjoy.
Monsieur de Silva has remained blunt, if not curt, with his responses to my questions. Perhaps it would be best to act in a courteous and empathetic manner, so that he may more forthcoming with the truth of his blackmail letters and its contents. He may more?
No reason, detective. Merely saving you from wasting your time.
I will be the judge of that. I would like to know about any and all evidence that may help my investigation. I trust there is nothing else you deem a waste of my time.
Of course not, officer. It's not as though you think I'm harboring some illicit secret.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to read the text while there's a giant mic in the way. I'm like doing this. I'm like, let's just look at the face. And I was like, I think he said talking. Nope. Condemning, concerned, or being empathetic.
I have never heard so much rubbish in all my life. I value those that work hard and deserve it.
That suggests there are some that you do not respect.
Yes, well, why should I praise someone for doing a poor job? You make me sound like some monster.
Monsieur, the letter does not only discuss your questionable business dealings, but also cases of abuse against your staff. Both accusations that must be taken very seriously.
Detective, there is a difference between telling a member of my staff what to do and abuse.
And it is you that decides where that line is drawn?
In my house? Yes, it is.
Oh, with two? We got it? Okay. Monsieur does not like being pressed on the subject of how he treats his staff. If he had nothing to hide, there should be no need for such a reaction.
Please stop calling it that. I treat all my servants exactly how I always have, and no one has complained before.
I mean, could they complain, though? Let's see. The invite system is like who can be officially invited or welcomed into the system? The system. Could be invited or welcome under the old system, so security background checks from all levels is added. Oh, being added. Okay. And then the honor noting system is having background checks added with looking into records from within Canada outside. As before, it seems they took the family's or person's words for face value. I'm like, 2024, you're adding background checks now on who can go into your government buildings? Oh. he dangerous? Ah, he's fine. He's Tim's cousin. Come on in, Matt.
That does not mean your behavior is appropriate.
They have one chance. If they are not doing the job they are hired to do, they are gone. You would be surprised how many staff expect an easy ride.
I did not expect Monsieur to treat his staff the same as his friends, but I also did not expect him to treat them like straight dogs.
Is there a specific member of staff that may have expected such a ride?
There is one girl, a new maid. I didn't expect great things from her, but Comtesse de Vos promised me she could do what was required.
This must be the young girl that the Comtesse spoke of. Perhaps the positions she is finding for these girls are not the best fit.
That is all for now.
Alright. Can't leave? Hold on. Maybe we gotta... Yep. Gotta link some things. Unwilling to pay blackmail.
I cannot see the logic.
Partially signed contract. Go.
Order and method. That is...
Ernesto employed. Helped Ernesto find a maid?
I must act on thought and...
What is it? Oh, partially signed contract and may collude.
The pieces of the puzzle.
I'm doubtful this duo would collaborate. Would Ernesto deal with another member of the house? Perhaps someone who never confirmed his alibi? Seem unlikely to collude. What does that go to? Seem unlikely to collude.
Come, my little gray cells.
Just gonna click, see what we get.
What a revelation.
Ernesto doesn't strike me as the sort of man that would ask for help, no matter how important. Ernesto may have asked Margot for help. But he probably didn't.
What is it now, detective?
Brooklyn says, so we've done it more. But now with... Okay, so now they're doing all that fancy security, like, oh, let's make sure we know who's going in the building.
She approached me. I thought it was rather brash.
In what way?
Assuming that I would want to take on another servant, and one from such a troubled background. She is running the charity, not I. When he came to me, I told him that with the factories on strike and my profits pouring down the drain, I had nothing for him. But he said he could help me get them all back to work and the factories earning. His rates were steep, but he said he knew what needed to be done, and he was prepared to do it. A week passed and they were all still on strike. In fact, even more had joined them.
The Honka thing and the trucker takeover? Oh my goodness. Oh, Canada.
He made excuse after excuse, demanding more and more money for the job to be done. But he never actually told me what he was going to do.
The riots.
I had no idea they were going to charge them like that. How was I meant to know?
And even following such a tragedy, he continued to demand money from you.
He said if he wanted my silence, it would cost. Do you have any idea what it could do to my livelihood, my name? If it got out that I had paid the so-called security that did that.
Oh, hello, Nina, you beautiful bouncing blob of adorable greatness, whom is always filled with gorgeous love, kind, wholesomeness, and amazing bliss. Ah, Lewis, stomp it. Thank you. Heck yeah. Playing the rest of this game, I'm just like, they're just cruising. It's just a visual novel, so I'm like, Far right. Oh, okay, well, that makes sense.
I have every idea, monsieur. You hired a militia to take action against your own workers. You deserve whatever name is chosen for being so morally bereft in your decision-making.
I didn't know that was what he was going to do.
I have to believe nothing but the truth. And the truth, monsieur, is that it is not only the Major that has the blood of those men on his hands. That is all for now.
Damn. That's crazy. So this is basically just chill the game. Well, there's like a little bit of detective and like solving mystery. But like, there's a lot of talking. And then anytime there's a thought, I read it out. Because for whatever reason, he doesn't read his own thought out. I'm like, why? Voice actor, what happened? But it's all good. Where's my little question marks? You're the newest. Margot approached Ernesto to help. Maid?
I must take a different approach if I...
No. Helped get hired?
This will not get me any close.
Employed a servant?
I cannot see the logic.
What? What? How does Margot approached Ernesto to offer help connect with Archibald allowed Margot to check the body? How does that connect? How does that connect? Tell me.
Things are beginning to be...
Margot may know more than she's letting on if she has an inside link with the staff of the house. How do you get that from checking a body? Okay. I have found no clear evidence of the guests working together in any capacity. What has become clear is the Comatesse's connection to the staff. Could there be something more to the relationship? But yeah, it's kind of just a chill game. It's a lot of like high society drama. We're just like, oh, a man's been murdered. Who committed the murder? Oh, there's a blackmailer. Who's you know, committing fraud. And then it's like, oh, the Viscount was not your father, but the Major, gasp. So it's like high class drama. And I have heating blanket on because it's just cold, but I think it's making me sleepy. I'm just like, I want to sleep. All right, mademoiselle, tell me, the fudge is going on.
Is there something you need, detective? She helped me at the shelter, and with this job.
That I am already aware of. What I am not is what else she tasked you with.
Pardon, detective?
I know that your position as a servant in this house is not your only job. What did Countess de Vos ask you to do while in this house?
She said I had to do what she asked, or I would be back on the street. I didn't want to do it. If anyone found out, I would be the prime suspect.
Madame von den Bosch would have been aware of young Ing's past, and she's worried that they would accuse her. What was asked of her must be related to her past life as a thief. Did you break into the safe?
Merci, mademoiselle.
Alright. What is the new stuff? Is following her orders. Did you swipe the key?
Come, my little grey cells. This will not get me any...
Previously prosecuted?
Another success.
Ing has admitted that her work in the house is not wholly honest. Is assisting with thefts. Did you steal the key?
Some would say a lucky guess. I...
Make 125 deductions. I thought it was irresponsible of Archibald to lose his key, but now its disappearance makes sense. Alright. Hand over the key!
Is there something you need, detective? Nothing. She said I was to take nothing.
If it was not something she wished you to take, what was it?
She wanted me to find out information about the family and Monsieur Hagen.
Why did she request that?
At first I didn't know, but when I heard about Mademoiselle Angeline being blackmailed, and then the Major, I knew she had used what I found.
What? Perhaps my suspicions of Monsieur Sterling's involvement with the Major's safe were incorrect, and his key was not to be lost, but stolen.
I knew Monsieur Archie had a key, and it would be easy to get it from him.
You knew that the Major asked Monsieur Sterling to access the safe from time to time, and if anything was ever discovered missing, he would surely take the blame.
Glad you're enjoying the emote.
I never took anything. I only told the Comtesse what I had found.
And that was?
About Monsieur Hagen and the Madame's relationship, and Angeline.
I'm sure the Comtesse was pleased to hear such valuable information.
She said I had done a good job, but I needed proof. That's why I went back and got the letters last night.
So it was the young Ing that beat Madame Bond and Bosch to the safe last night. But why would they be left in such a precarious fashion?
I fetched the letters again and took them to the Countess last night. But she shouted at me and said what a stupid girl I was.
You were only doing as she requested.
She said it was too dangerous for her to have them with you around. That's when I returned them to the study. I thought I heard someone on the stairs, so I just threw them back. It was dark, as I dared not turn the light on. Someone would have seen it.
Trying to slot a key into the lock in the dark is no easy feat. That would explain the scratches on the safe. She just like... Madame Bond and Bosch had only tried to retrieve the letter minutes earlier, she would have surely crossed paths with her.
Merci, mademoiselle.
With Ing. Okay, so... Ing knows of the hidden room, accessed the safe, scratched the safe, was tasked with gathering information. Ooh, what am I combining? Claims nothing was moved in the study, safe access.
Order and method.
Nope. We're gonna be guessing.
Is there something? I must take a different approach if...
What is it? Oh, sorry, it's safe and key.
Things are beginning to...
I wonder how many secrets the house holds for Ing to find. Ing is trying to uncover secrets. Feels disconnected from her peers. I'm gonna say tasked.
I must act on thought.
Okay, what are secrets attached to?
Come, my little Grace. I must take a different
I swear I'm gonna
The pieces of the puzzle.
If there is somewhere in this house where a secret lies, it will surely be found in the hidden room. My suspicions of the Comatese connection with Ing was correct. She was using the young girl to find out anything and everything she could about the family, while the Comatese need not even get her hands dirty. Alright. Hand over more information.
That's all. I swear. I heard Monsieur Archie and Monsieur Felix talking about a storeroom, but I haven't found it.
Is the Countess aware of this room?
I told her it was somewhere in the house, but I didn't know where. She wasn't happy with me that I hadn't found it yet.
I believe if young Ing knew the location of the secret store, secret store? Oh, secret storeroom. She would have been forthcoming with it. It may be naive on my part, but she has already incriminated herself and has nothing else to lose.
Mademoiselle. Your honesty to...
I suppose that I will lose my position at the house now.
That is not my decision to make. But when the whole truth is revealed, it will not be the pawns the law looks to convict. We shall be coming for the Queen.
Also, in fun gaming news, Nintendo CEO refuses to lay off staff, which has gone viral following the industry's massive layoffs. And they said, if we reduce the number of employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease. Yeah. Yeah, so good on him. Good on him. Ooh, 2 connections. So, good job, Nintendo. Okay, what are we going to connect here? Secrets may be hidden in the hidden room. Margot has linked to several staff members. Confesses of Cassandra. Access the safe is... Love?
This will not get me any...
Damn it. Okay, we got the where. We got the when. We don't have the how, but we have the why and the what. Ernesto employed a servant from the women's shelter. Ing got the job from Margot. I don't know, so we're gonna click random things and hope we get something. Family to leave the manor? I don't know.
I cannot see the logic in this.
I'm doing random stuff so I could see what is the answer.
Magnifique.
Got one of them. Such a calculating web of lies and secrets, what motive could possibly justify such devious actions? Margot's the blackmailer. Margot. Why, Margot?
Order and method.
Nope, that guy's still making more mistakes. It's probably something with the how.
What a revelation.
Margot's making her shelter girls do her dirty work, finding dirt on members of the social elite. Honestly, it's pretty smart. Finally, I've unmasked the blackmailer. Mademoiselle Angeline and the other recipients of such letters may no longer live in fear. Comtesse de Vos shall pay for her crimes. Also read that the laws in Japan are different around layoffs than they are here. Oh, like in comparison to Canada and America? What is the differences, I wonder? What are the differences? Oh, sorry. Oh! Angeline, you're not gonna believe the tea I have.
Mademoiselle, merci for coming.
Oh, look at that. They took pay cuts to ensure staff didn't have to be let go. Nice. Fans have been sharing the outlook of former Nintendo. Iwata was president from 2002 until his death in 2015. Oh, but he was the CEO during the turbulent Wii U era. Following the failure, he took a 50% pay cut, while other executives reduced their salaries by 20%. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see. Are you gonna maybe is this article gonna tell me? Gonna explain to me how the laws work over there? No? Cool.
Have you had a breakthrough, detective?
So I know who your dad is, and I know who's blackmailing you. Which do you want first?
I have. Finally, I have the news you have awaited.
Please, detective, don't hold me in suspense.
I'm holding her in suspense.
Oh my, I feel faint at the thought of knowing who could have done this to us.
It is said to keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. It is Comtesse de Vos that is behind the letters.
I don't believe it. What about the Major's letter?
Not only his, but a letter to Monsieur da Silva.
She was blackmailing him as well? Detective, I just don't know what to say.
Take a moment, mademoiselle. It is a lot of information to take in.
I just don't understand why she would do such a cruel thing. She has never been particularly forthcoming with it, only that she was homeless for some time and that she was at the women's shelter before here.
And it is there that the Countess abused her power and manipulated her to uncover secrets of the family.
All this time she has been working for Margot, doing her dirty work?
Mm-hmm.
I am afraid so, mademoiselle.
Mademoiselle's in a state of shock to learn that such a close friend of the family has betrayed them in such a cruel way. It must be devastating.
Is Maman aware?
Not yet.
You are the first I have told, mademoiselle. Next will be the authorities.
I'm afraid that we'll have to wait. And we will. I want to see her punished to the fullest extent of the law. But we cannot telephone anyone, as the lines are still down.
Monsieur Archibald informed me earlier. I had hoped they would be working again. Last night's snow must have caused more damage than expected.
Last night? They have been done all weekend, detective. Detective? Are you okay?
How could I have been such a fool? I saw Monsieur Sterling talk on the telephone, but I heard no ring. Did I not say Archibald?
Detective Poirot?
It was all a lie. A scene acted out for my benefit to throw me off the scent. If I believed that the Major was still alive at that time, I had no reason to investigate anyone's whereabouts beforehand. Anyone being Monsieur Sterling and his staff.
Would you like me to fetch you a glass of water, detective?
Can you imagine just having a conversation with someone and they just like blue screen in front of you? It's like, oh my god, are you okay? What's happening? Do you need water?
My apologies, mademoiselle. I was taken by surprise for a moment, but I have regained my composure. A glass of water is not required. Would you excuse me? Merci, mademoiselle.
Chapter 6 done. So 7, 8, 9. Okay, we're on track. The family. I feel like it should go a little bit faster now that I'm finding out things. Me always. My patience has grown thin. The guests and the staff of this house think it is acceptable to lie to my face when questioned and obstruct my investigation. but no more. Excuse me. We shall see how Monsieur Sterling and his staff fare under some pressure. Dig deeper into Archibald and their suspicious actions. I have been lied to for the last time. My suspicions initially led me to the guests, but now they are firmly placed on the staff. Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rahana cannot hide behind their lies any longer. Did I not say? Archibald be sus. Also, it's kind of like known, the butler. You kind of always assume the butler. You're like, who has motive? All these high-standing people and the staff. It's like you investigated the guests, and all the guests had alibis, but he was like, oh no, they must have worked together. And it's like, no, they still all have alibis, bro. Clearly, it is the staff. It's okay. This is like one of his first cases. He's learning. It looks like Elizabeth is on her way to see me, but at such a late Yo, you good? What's happening?
Mademoiselle, what a pleasure to see you.
Detective,
Why? What happened?
It is a rather late hour to be wandering the halls.
Oh, yes, of course. I do not feel myself, Detective.
If that is the case, you should be resting. Allow me to help.
No, that's quite all right. I will see to my duties and return to bed.
Elizabeth, tell me you're not a part of the murder.
Lizzie, excuse me, Elizabeth. Lady Van Den Bosch has been waiting for some time now.
No, go. Is that an accent you put on?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Detective Poirot was just...
I'll see to the detective. You just head on up. Off you go.
Good night, Detective.
Bonne nuit, mademoiselle.
Mademoiselle Elizabeth is certainly not herself. I thought the death of the Major had brought up uncomfortable memories of her beloved Luke, but it may be something else. Elizabeth, tell me you didn't stab him. I mean, I can see why. Because the Major was a part of the security team, and the security team killed your husband. Well, soon-to-be husband. Did you stab the Major? It's gonna be kind of cool if you did, but... I'd be like, yes, Queen, but no, I have to arrest you now.
I'm sorry about her, Detective. As you can see, she is still not back to her usual bubbly self.
Yeah, no, dead partner will do that.
This weekend seems to have taken quite a toll on her.
She'll be right as rain in a couple of days. Now, what can I help you with?
As if by magic you appeared when needed. I would like to speak with you and the remaining staff. If you could gather them in the staff pantry.
At this hour, Detective? Is that really necessary?
I shall be the one that determines what is and what is not necessary, and this is very much the former.
As you wish, Detective. I'll see if Inge has finished preparing for breakfast.
And Mademoiselle Rihanna?
Yes, of course. I'll fetch her from the kitchen. Elizabeth may be some time with the lady of the house. Perhaps you'd like to start with us?
Very well. I shall speak with Mademoiselle Elizabeth when her duties are complete.
While I am gathering the staff, Mr. Beckers is in the library. If you wish to join him, I could bring you both a nightcap.
I wish to keep a clear head, but there is something I wish to discuss with Monsieur Beckers.
It's my opportunity to confront Monsieur Beckers about his dealings or lack thereof with Monsieur de Silva without being disturbed. You know, Archibald could be making a run for it right now. Or, you know, he could be like, the detective's onto us. What do we do? Do we escape? Do we try to brave the snowstorm? Do we kill the detective? I mean, everyone knows there's a killer in the house, but they don't know who. If we kill the detective, then he can't investigate the crime. I mean, that'd be the smart thing to do. Be like, hey, he's giving me time to gather all the suspects. We should discuss a plan. What up, Hugo?
Monsieur Beckers, it is rather late. The other guests have already retired to their rooms.
I didn't even see the time. It's easy to lose oneself in a library this impressive.
That is something we can agree on, monsieur.
I suppose I should be heading.
A moment, monsieur. There are some matters that we must discuss.
Oh, what is it, detective?
Ooh.
I'm not sure what you mean.
A proposal to make you somewhat of a star, a figurehead for the working man. What would you call that?
There was certainly no talk of making me a star. That is not the type of man I am. She wanted to write a piece on my work with the union, and I was happy to oblige.
Monsieur Beckwith has always appeared to have the worker intention at the forefront of decisions, but perhaps the thought of being remembered for something great was too much for him to pass up. Maybe, yeah.
My speech? I'm not sure what speech.
You may save your false ramblings for your next audience. I am aware you spoke with the Major yesterday.
Whoever told you that has it wrong, detective.
Please, monsieur. The truth.
Okay, fine. Yes, the Major and I spoke, but it was not for long. I was trying to convince him to speak with Ernesto. It's time we brought the strikes to an end.
And that was best approached by a shouting match?
He wouldn't listen to a word I said. I spent so long preparing how I was going to convince him, but men like him are only swayed by one thing: money.
Monsieur Beckers is not wrong. Had he tried to grease the Major's palm, perhaps he would have been more successful.
It is said that money is the root of all evil, but it can also be a rather powerful bargaining chip.
Well, he was bargaining with people's lives. If he had acted sooner, none of those men, my men, would have to die.
The Major oversaw security at the factories. Could he have done more to stop the strikes turning violent?
A deal? It was an insult.
And that is why you did not sign it?
I didn't sign it because the workers deserve so much more, not his pathetic attempts to get them back to work.
Did you think there was a chance for a better deal to be made?
I know there was. He's a pompous swine that cares for only himself and filling his pockets.
I'm sure I've heard that description of Monsieur de Silva before, or at least something similar. Alright, time to...
Mademoiselle Conrad can be quite convincing, can she not?
She has certainly taken several wealthy business partners by surprise with her knowledge and prowess. She knows how to use her womanly powers to get what she wants.
Oh?
But she did not surprise or use you?
Me? Used me? Don't be ridiculous, detective. There were no games played at my expense.
Monsieur Beckers is quite a way with words and is a fan of his own voice. Perhaps I should allow him the opportunity to speak and open up without too much interruption or forcefulness. Even though she was able to convince you not to sign a deal, I am sure many have persuaded by her feminine prowess. Do you want me curious or suggestive? Let's ask a question?
No, she just reminded me of what I was fighting for.
You were used? You claim that you refused Monsieur de Silva's deals as it was not adequate for your men? Right? Question?
And I stand by that. It was an insult.
A rather bold move to make such a decision on your own.
Oh. Alright. Are you prepared to take responsibility for your actions or lack thereof? Your job is to support the workers, but nothing you have done has gotten them any closer to the results you promised. Ooh, honest or accusing? It said to let him talk, but to not be forceful. Question?
Everything that has happened is my doing.
You yourself spoke of Mademoiselle Conrad's cunning in business.
And I told you, I was not one of her targets.
Tell me then, what was it she reminded you of? The acclaimed man of the people you would be known as if you pushed the factory owners for more?
It wasn't like that at all.
From where I am standing, it was she that was manipulating the terms of the deal, and you in the process. You were merely her pawn.
Okay, yes, I know. I shouldn't have listened to her. But what else could I do? Remain an unknown my whole life? I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt.
It may not have been your intention, but we both know the result. You rolled the dice with those men's lives for fame, and you lost.
What does that have to do with anything?
I have often wondered about the competition siblings face in a large family.
When you're young, it is the best feeling to know you have family that will stand by you, without even being asked. It is not until everyone starts carving their own path that you realize you're walking yours solo, and those that were beside you are now miles away.
And?
My older brothers were the athletes of the family. They both played soccer, and were the infatuation of every teenage girl. I'm sure you have seen the type.
Oui, monsieur, but I can assure you that was not I.
Then there was me. Quiet, timid, a shadow of the Baker brothers. My voice and very presence was forgotten and ignored. Nothing I could say or do would ever reach the bar they had set. But I always knew I was destined for great things.
Middle child, maybe?
Years passed, and now that I no longer stood in the colossal ombre of my brothers, I could become my own man. When the position of union leader was posted, it was my chance to finally be heard. You hear politicians speak of the little or the common man? Well, that was me. And I knew what we wanted and what we needed. When I spoke, others listened. I held their gaze with a sense of pride, a sense that what I was doing was for the greater good. It was supposed to be my crowning achievement, lead the men to victory over the money-grabbing oppressors. But instead, all I did was lead them to their deaths.
So, why hasn't Elizabeth killed you?
Monsieur, it was not at your hands that these men died. The blame cannot lie solely on your shoulders. Those responsible will be punished for their crimes. That you must trust.
Monsieur Becker's story is one of fighting to have one's voice heard, be it single or one of the masses, but not in the way he so hoped. Yeah, kind of. Did not go your way. Alright. Well, maybe I can leave now, because there's no linked connections? Right, because I told him to gather the staff in the little pantry. While speaking with Monsieur Beckers was not the reason for me being up at this hour, he was able to fill in some of the blanks regarding the Major, but not in getting any closer to discovering his killer. Perhaps the staff living quarters will. Where's that? Is that down? No. I feel like it's down next to the pantry room, no? Oh, I have access to my bedroom. No. What? No, you're good. You don't need your bedroom, Puddle. I might have accidentally read a Soap Ghost comic, and I was just like, good stuff. Send to somebody else. Just passing it on. It's like, oh, you sent it to me? I'm just gonna pass it on. It's great art. It's beautiful. It should be over here. There's staff quarters. I wish you'd run. Just a little jog. Something. Is this where all of them sleep? Oh, they deserve better. Decent supply of logs. I just hope the staff also get to make use of them with this weather. And I could not imagine running around this big of a house with this little of a staff. Oof. They are a few days old and do not hold a candle as to what has transpired here this weekend. Mick? I'm glad I'm a guest of the house. I'm not sure how well I would sleep in such a contraption. Bro, hammocks are the best to take a nap in. Sunlight, some shade from a tree, wind blowing you. Perfect. I'd be out for hours. There does not seem to be anything of interest in here. Highly recommend. You see a hammock? Take a nap in it. A war medal that I assume must belong to the Major. Why do they have it? Abandoned clothes. A rather luxurious jacket. The initials read F.H. Felix Hagen. Are these scruffy boots his as well? Why would they be left here, though? These items I found are most intriguing and require an explanation that I believe only the staff can give. I shall meet them in the pantry.
Detective, what can we do for you?
Did y'all steal a dead man's clothes?
You can help me by telling the truth, and in the process, help yourselves.
Sorry, Detective. It's a bit late in the night for riddles.
He's got a point.
It is no riddle, monsieur. If I do not receive the truth, you shall all be charged as accessories to murder.
Detective, I think maybe you have been locked in this house for too long. We have already...
You have told me a version, and now I require honesty.
Alright, bam.
Monsieur Sterling, is there anything you would like to add to your story?
I'm not sure what you think I have done, Detective.
Let us not string out this charade any longer.
From his associate. I've already told you, Detective. I don't know who it was.
Do not worry yourself on such details now. I suppose they were lucky to have called when they did. Otherwise, they may not have gotten through at all, with the telephone lines being down as of yesterday.
Aye, Detective. Lucky, I guess.
Monsieur Sterling's no fool. I believe he's aware I suspect him of something. Perhaps some carefully worded questions are all that I need for him to slip up.
Whiskey?
You took a bottle of whiskey to the Major. You spoke with Monsieur Demire en route.
Aye, of course. It was a bottle he picked up from his last visit to Scotland. Rather smoky number from the Highlands. He was saving it for a worthy occasion. Drowning his sorrows must have been fitting enough.
At first, he does not remember a bottle at all, and as if by magic, he recalls the exact details.
Or was it the one from the West Coast? You'll have to excuse my memory, Detective. It's not what it used to be. Oh, you found it. Thank you, Detective. I've been looking everywhere for it.
If I had lost a war medal, I would not stop until I found it.
It's not what you think. I was...
Exploiting a dead man's military achievements for your own personal gain?
Nothing of the sort. He asked me to clean them up. I must have dropped it into my pocket when I was putting them back. An honest mistake.
Never have I heard such a pathetic excuse to explain a stolen item in one's possession. I would expect a better lie from an infant.
I wouldn't know. Probably.
Oh my god.
Your father was in the military for many years. That is what you told me.
He was.
And your family still keep his medals?
They were sold.
And why was that, monsieur?
Is my family on trial now, Detective?
Wait, is that medal actually your father's medal?
Only you, monsieur. And I repeat my question.
Because we needed money.
Voila.
Monsieur Sterling was well aware of the medal's value when it found its way into his belongings.
No. He keeps them safe with some of his old military documentation.
Is that a typical job for the head butler?
He trusts me to do a good job. I told him I used to clean my father's, so he asked me to do the same.
And where does he keep these items?
In the storage room. I know where everything is, so it's just easier if I fetch them for him as and when he needs them.
I do not recall seeing any military memorabilia or keepsakes when I was in the storage room. Could there be another storage room he speaks of?
It's certainly better than my last.
You are paid a fitting wage for the work that is asked of you?
I'm sure the lady of the house would not want me discussing it, but I should not complain.
That is not the most convincing answer, monsieur.
Between you and I, we all work very hard here, and it would be nice if we were rewarded for it.
Seems Monsieur Sterling is trying to convince me, as he has himself, that his light-fingered actions are justifiable due to the petite wage he receives for his honest work.
Please don't go anywhere. If I require more information, I shall call on you again.
Alright, let's go.
Mademoiselle, I shall keep my questions brief.
Talk to everyone in here.
I don't know what else I can tell you.
You have been honest with me so far. All I request is that you continue to do so.
Oui, detective.
I'm already aware of Mademoiselle's involvement with the blackmail, but I'm not sure if she's also connected to the Major's murder.
It was frantic in the pantry. We were working hard to make sure everything was up to scratch.
Go on.
Then Liz burst in, asking for Mamore's help.
Her help with what, exactly?
I don't know. She took Liz to one side, and I was needed in the salon. We spoke just after that in the pantry.
You did not question what she needed help with?
I was too busy. I love Liz, but she sheds a tear at almost everything these days. Although, I have never seen her look so pale.
Mademoiselle Elizabeth still looked pale when I saw her earlier. I understand the amount of work that goes into keeping a house of this size running, but Madame cannot expect the staff to work if they are ill. Perhaps Mademoiselle Rohanna can clear up the reason for Elizabeth's panic.
Merci.
Alright. Sorry, I'm trying to talk to you.
Mademoiselle, I shall be as quick and precise with my questioning as possible.
Okay. What do you need? Merci. He was a good man. Taken too early.
Forgive me, mademoiselle, for not extending them earlier, but I was not aware of your relationship.
He was my only brother. And he died doing what he believed was right. If I ever get my hands on who took him from me...
Oh, you don't know. I understand why she's so angry for her brother to be taken from this world at such a young age, and in such a violent manner. Violence cannot be met with violence, but I am not sure Mademoiselle feels the same.
You say the riots, but it was the strike he was part of. They started the riots, not the workers.
By they, you are referring to the security forces. They were brought in to keep the peace.
Oh, but we know how that goes.
Security, huh? They were brought in to make an example of them. It was all peaceful until they arrived.
Why would they need to make an example?
So that the workers would stop rallying. No one is going to go on strike if they think they'll get killed. The security you talk of were armed and ready. The workers were pigs to the slaughter. What chance did they have?
It is obvious Mademoiselle is still upset about her brother's death, and rightly so. If the events were as Mademoiselle describes, I cannot comprehend how the security forces were able to get away with such despicable acts of violence. Money.
Yes.
This was before or after Archibald took him a bottle of whiskey?
Before.
You are sure?
It may have been after.
The whiskey is kept in the cellar with all the alcohol?
It is.
Then you must have noticed him going into the cellar and returning with a bottle through the pantry, no?
Yes, I suppose I did.
It only took one question for Mademoiselle to doubt her own story. What I still cannot see is why the need for the lies.
What is there to say? Being locked away in the pantry, I don't see her for most of the day.
That may be, but she came looking for your help before dinner was served, did she not?
She wasn't feeling well, that's all.
And she came to you?
I told you, we are a family here. The girls come to Mama Reh if they have a problem, and I fix it.
When I saw her earlier, I must admit she was not looking herself. Perhaps I should check on her.
No, just leave the poor girl. She'll be fine after another bowl of my homemade soup. She just needs her rest.
I'm sure Mademoiselle Rohanna is a loving mother figure to the staff while away from their families, but her eagerness to keep me from seeing Mademoiselle Elizabeth again does not sit comfortably.
Merci, mademoiselle.
Princess. Alright, 4 connections. Ugh, okay. Elizabeth's quite upset, claims Elizabeth is under the weather. Archibald stole from the Major.
I must act on thought and... Is there something...
Maybe stealing? Stealing?
Is there something...
Okay. So Hugo saw the Major's coat. Rohanna unsure, claims. Archibald staged the phone call. Okay, so try to remember that.
I must act...
Oh my god, are you the coat?
I should not be surprised, but...
The Major would not have left such a fine coat in the staff area. Someone must have worn it. More importantly, however, who wore the Major's clothes?
Order and method. Things are beginning to be...
How can either of them forget something so important from only the day before? It's pretty sus.
This will not get me any closer to...
What was it? What was it? Phone call?
I should not be surprised.
The theory that the Major had been killed during dinner was nothing but a ruse. Why are the staff covering for the real time of death? Staff covering for the real time of death.
The pieces of the puzzle of...
Both Archibald and Rahana played the parts very well. That is until they became complacent. Why did the staff feel the need to fabricate stories? This?
I cannot see the logic.
Well, it says I have one, but I thought all these were highlighted.
I must take a different approach if I am to... Come, my little grey cells.
What is it? Oh, it's the boots.
Another success.
I should have known at first glance these belonged to a member of the staff, but who? Staff member's boots? Stole from the Major?
Is there something?
Coat?
Some would say a lucky...
A staff member dressed in the Major's clothes and took his position out in the snow for the guests to see. Why would they do this? A staff member impersonated the Major. Ooh.
I must act on thought and...
Saw the Major outside.
I cannot see the logic in this.
Darn it. Stole from the Major?
Come, my little grey cells.
What is it?
What a revelation.
I almost had to relay their stories back to them both. I obviously cannot trust a word they have said. Why are the staff hiding the truth from me? Staff are hiding the truth. Staff are involved with the murder.
Magnifique.
It is a revelation I had not expected. The staff were involved in the murder. Called it. Called it. While young Ing is guilty of her own crimes associated with the blackmail, it is Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rahana that have an integral part in covering up and obscuring the truth of how the Major was killed. I'm betting Archibald dressed like the Major, right? Similar height. And then said, you go stab him. The staff were already suspicious to begin with, but this confirms their involvement. Are all the staff members involved? Let's find out. There's 3 connections. I am close to revealing the truth about the Major's murder, but I must understand the roles that each and every person involved played before the final puzzle is solved. All right. Elizabeth looked white coming downstairs. Helped Elizabeth after coming downstairs. Do this.
Order and method.
Nope. Distraught.
I should not be surprised by my...
I cannot imagine the pain they have felt losing Luke. His memory will live on in their hearts. They're still at 2. Staff member impersonated the Major. Feels disconnected from her peers. Okay, so she probably didn't do it.
This will not get me any closer to...
Fine, let's try murder.
I must take a different...
There's only so many options, my friend.
Order and method.
Alright, what is it? Elizabeth, Ing, and staff. Where's my 4th? Oh, I have 3 highlighted, but I need 2 connections. Maybe they both go... They probably both go to it.
Another success.
Elizabeth looked pale at the other members of staff. We busy? Elizabeth looked pale and the other members of staff busy with their duties. We're busy. She must have found the body, but did she play a part in the murder? We're getting typos. Alright, she feels disconnected.
Things are beginning to...
I'm confident Ing isn't part of the cover-up that has clearly been a focus for the other staff. Elizabeth found the body.
Magnifique.
Although her duties are primarily focused in the kitchen and pantry, I don't recall seeing her. Oop, 2 connections. Wasn't seen after. Were you the Major?
What a revelation.
Impersonating the Major was Rahana's role in the plan. Why it was necessary, I'm not sure of yet. Why did she feel the need to cover for Elizabeth? Dude, did Elizabeth do it?
I cannot see the logic in this.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Where you're like, oh my god, the man who murdered my husband. Yeah.
I must take a different approach if...
Elizabeth?
Come, my little.
No? Oh my goodness.
Some would say a lucky guess.
Archibald's acting skills came into play to cover for a member of the staff, but who? Archibald was covering for a staff member.
Is there something
Is it this?
I must act on thought?
I think Elizabeth caused the body.
The pieces of the puzzle of.
The staged phone call was Archibald's assignment. He went to great lengths to protect Elizabeth, but why did he feel the need to cover for Elizabeth? While young Ing is guilty of her own crimes associated with blackmail, it's Monsieur that had been an integral part when the Major was killed. Did Elizabeth kill the Major? I now have all the pieces of the puzzle. I must return to my room and place them together until the results reveal itself. Pretty sure Elizabeth killed the Major. It is time for my little gray cells to go to work. I am so close to uncovering the truth. Alright, gray cells. Alright. What's the newest thing? Defensive strike. Potential murder weapon. Ceremonial dagger. First aid kit. Poker was cleaned. It's called poker?
This will not get me any closer. This will not get me.
No? Oh, why?
I must act on thought.
No, I'm up. I'm messing this up, aren't I?
Some would say a lucky guess.
How could I have allowed this to slip through my guess? Elizabeth is the murderer. Pew. We don't know what she killed, and we don't know why. Oh, we know why. Husband. Dead husband. Clear as day. I cannot believe I did not see it. Blinded by my own trust. When I look back now, the clues were there staring me in the face. I spent my time chasing connections between the guests. Their motives and agendas were more than enough to raise suspicion, but while distracted by them, I failed to notice the one absent member of the household. What I still cannot grasp is why. I promised myself that after that fateful day at the Capitol, I would not let my judgment steer me adrift. But once again, it is I left looking the fool. There is nothing more that can be done tonight. I must at least try to rest my head. Chapter 7 done. Wow, that only took like 30 minutes. Oh, we're so close. Chapter 8. All right, Elizabeth. You're the murderer. What in the world? Has an elephant escaped and made its way to the second floor? It sounds as though it is coming directly from above me, but what is... that storage room? Murder? Hiding evidence? What's happening? I mean, they're on a large enough property. It's like, what would stop you from leaving the house and just chucking it into the snow? And then once everyone can leave, you go back to that spot and properly disregard the murder weapon. As a hypothetical, just, you know, as a hypothetical. I'm not saying you should do that. That's not advice. Just purely hypothetical. As someone who watches a lot of true crime. You know, nothing nefarious here. Yeah, what's going on in the storeroom? Why would Monsieur Sterling be in here clattering around in the dead of the night? We could just ask him. He's right there. Archibald is up in the middle of the night making some amount of noise. I must find out the extent of his behavior. Okay, I was like, please just ask him. Hey, the toys are gone. What is that? Okay, what's up, man?
Monsieur Sterling.
Oh, Detective, I was just...
Please, I eagerly await to hear what reason you give for being in the storage room at this hour.
That cabinet in the back. It's got little scratchy marks. Is that the secret room?
A butler's job is never...
I am no fool, monsieur. You have spun enough stories this weekend.
Honestly, Detective, you don't trust anyone.
And with good reason.
Yeah!
I've been thinking about my time with the family.
I often think on fond memories, but it does not take me to a storage room in the middle of the night.
There are many memories held within these walls. I just wanted to see them again.
Monsieur Sterling sounds as though he has plans on leaving the house. Like through the front door or through a loop.
I didn't realize the noise I was making.
Obviously. Were you preoccupied looking for another of the Major's medals?
Oh.
Of course not. I already explained.
No, monsieur. You attempted to dupe me again into believing one of your stories.
Please, detective. I know you know how it ended up in my possession. I was just trying to get some extra money together to send home. I can't lose this job. If Lady Van den Bosch found out...
Theft of a medal would be the very least of your problems.
Deceive? I'm sorry that I lied to you about the medal.
Even when confronted, Monsieur Sterling still remains steadfast and refuses to acknowledge what he has done.
Would you care to explain the fake telephone call? It was purely for my benefit, no?
Why would I fake a telephone call?
The same reason that Mademoiselle Rihanna dressed in the Major's jacket in the snow. To allow not only the guests, but me to believe the Major was still alive.
I didn't kill him, detective.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
I know, monsieur. But I also know that you helped the one that did to cover their tracks.
It wasn't like that. We were just trying to help. You never let on. How long have you known it was her?
Monsieur, I am Detective Hercule Poirot. I only show my hand when I deem it necessary.
You will be taking her away then?
She will stand trial for what she has done.
But you don't know the full story. She is just a servant in this house. If she is arrested, that will be the end for her.
If Mademoiselle was only protecting herself, as you both have claimed, she will surely be found innocent.
The Major's military storage box.
The one that stored his medals.
Amongst other things, yes.
What's the amongst other things?
And those other things are?
I had to protect her. If you found it when searching the study, you would have carted her off then and there.
Murder weapon?
Whatever it is you have hidden, it will not remain that way for much longer.
Monsieur Stern is obviously hiding something. I should perhaps conduct my own search for it instead of relying on his cryptic messages.
I need a moment.
Yeah, this cabinet. Bruh, it's so suspicious. Detached saint carving. I mean, that's sus too. One of the many saint carvings from around the house, abandoned in a box. Why is the saint carving in here? Don't know. Is that my clue?
Come, my little Grace. Order and method. That... I should not be surprised by...
The detached carving may relate to a door in this room. This would explain Archibald's presence. Secret room, accessible within storage room.
Another success.
Archibald must have hidden items in the secret room. I presume this exists within here, somewhere. Bruh. Also this clock. Is sus. There appears to be nothing here. Really? You got some weirdly distinctive scratchy marks behind it, but okay. There appears to be nothing here. Visit all locations in the game. Aha! A hidden room. It seems there are more secrets in this house to discover. What's the military service box? The Major's military service box contains letters and keepsakes. And maybe a murder weapon? A letter? Military knife. The last will and testament of the late Viscount. It seems he truly loved Angeli. I declare that I, Viscount Edwin van der Bosch, am of sound mind. This last will expresses my wishes without undue influence or duress, which reminds me, I have to update my last will and testament. In the event of my death, I hereby appoint my wife Cassandra von den Bosch as the executive of the von den Bosch estate, and I leave the remaining wealth held in the von den Bosch name to my only daughter, Angeline von den Bosch. Any outstanding debts, expenses of my last illness, funeral expenses, and administration costs would be paid from the von den Bosch account at the National Bank of Belgium. To my daughter, Angeline, you are the apple of my eye and the brightest star in the sky. Never allow your light to fade for even a moment. To my wife, Cassandra, thank you for the many joyous years. We have laughed, we have loved, and we have brought the most precious of gifts into this world together. I trust that you will protect her and prepare her for a future full of opportunity and hope. Viscount Edward von den Bosch, Monsieur Victor Bourgeois Petit Solicitors. Alright. Look at this knife. Prestigious looking knife, likely belonging to the Major. The murder weapon. Expensive lighter. Expensive looking lighter. Looks to have unfortunately been through a war. Come, my little Grace House. I believe we already know something about this mystery. Alright, I'm assuming that's him being like, you've looked at everything in this room. Alright. Well used, unrecognizable symbol, bloodstains, rose engraving. War map, empty canteen, standard military box of the Major's lighter?
I must take a different approach if I...
No? Okay. Dishonorably discharged. The Major is not receiving a pension. The Major killed prisoners of war? Huh? This is to certify that Major Felix Hagen has been discharged from the British Army in consequence of crimes against humanity during a period of war. War crimes? Additional detail, while serving overseas, a number of prisoners of war were being held under the authority and supervision of Major Felix Hagen. While in his care, the prisoners were an insubordinate act that disobeyed direct orders. His actions have been deemed in direct violation of the British Army values and ethics, and consequently, Major Felix Hagen has been withdrawn from his position and will return to England. Major Felix Hagen is to renounce all responsibility of his rank, return any and all uniform, and will return to civilian life. Ooh. Pensions due to be received from the British Army will hereby be revoked, and any benefit are to be stopped with immediate effect. General M. Wilson. Huh. Dear Felix, how hoofing it is to hear from you after so long. Surprising to hear you have settled on the continent, although I recall you talking about a different caliber of woman over there. You are sorely missed at the George and Dragon. Would you believe Duncan still tends bar and still refers to himself as the king of the castle? One day he will finally get committed. There were rumors that you had returned to South Africa, but after what we had seen and what we had to do, I knew you couldn't have. At your request, I have forwarded with this letter correspondence information for the remaining members of the battalion, and I have no fear that they'd be proud to follow you once more. I wait patiently for my orders. Yours faithfully, in death and glory, Lieutenant Roger Davies. Ooh, no. Ooh, no. Rose engraving?
I cannot see the logic in this.
He's taking medals for extra money. Archibald admits to the cover-up. Archer implies he's leaving the house.
Is there something...
Ooh, what is it? Bloodstains, unrecognizable symbol. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that the bloodstains? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Where's the other one? Potential murder weapon. Is it gonna be bloodstains too?
Is there something...
Is it?
Magnifique.
This lighter must belong to the Major. The army symbol all but confirms this, but don't I already have this in my possession? No.
Things are beginning to...
The lighter I found in the military box is certainly the Major's, meaning the other one is not. And then blood.
The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together.
150 deductions. The murder weapon has been found. Elizabeth must have used this in the study. It was Elizabeth the maid in the study with the military knife. We're playing Clue now. Alright, let's talk to Archibald. Which, I'm like, I don't know why he hasn't run away at this point, but, you know, where's he gonna go? What's up, Ed?
There is no use lying anymore.
Oh, thank you.
He always had his regiment lighter that he received in the war on his person.
And yet, it was not his regiment emblem that was engraved on it.
My father's. It must have fallen out of my pocket. You still have it, Detective.
Monsieur, you have stashed evidence, manipulated a crime scene, obscured my investigation, and yet it is a lighter that you worry about most?
If it is my path to end up behind bars for what I have done, so be it. It is Elizabeth that you cannot allow to be locked up without the truth being told. I have heard how you fought for that young maid before. Fleurette, is it? I only ask that you do the same for Elizabeth.
Although the cases differ greatly in severity, I can envision the similarities in how Mademoiselle Elizabeth will be treated by those in positions of authority or social standing, even before she is trialed. It is my oath as an officer of the law to uphold justice and fairness. Mademoiselle must be given the chance to prove her innocence before the courts as any other suspect.
You found it.
Even the secret area that has been created here is not concealed enough to stop Detective Hercule Poirot.
I couldn't just leave it at the scene for you to find.
The Major was killed by his own knife. The knife that protected his life during the war would eventually be the one that ended it.
It was in his holster when he attacked her. He had hold of her arm. What else was she meant to use to get him off of her?
Okay. I cannot imagine the Major would have given his knife up easily. She must have been in close proximity to reach it. Perhaps he did attack her, as she claims.
She didn't plan any of it, Detective. She was only defending herself.
That is what Mademoiselle told you?
She did, and I believe her. You think you knew the Major, but you had no idea. He was a monster and had more secrets than all of us combined.
That may be true, but that does not excuse what she has done.
Put yourself in her shoes for a minute. If a man like that had attacked me the way he did Lizzie, I would have done a lot worse to him.
Mademoiselle Elizabeth has told Monsieur Sterling a version of events that suggests she was attacked by the Major. I struggle to believe that she would make such a story up, but then I also did not believe she could do such a thing as commit murder.
I need a moment.
Ooh, it's getting juicy. Because I'm like, yeah, I can see the Major being a dick and attacking her. Why? I don't know. Maybe she said a comment, or maybe like she was like, you killed my husband, and he was like, I'm gonna kill you too. Like, I don't, who knows? Who knows?
Come, my little grey cells. I must take a different approach. What a revelation!
If the only thing I found was Archibald's lighter, he must have collected something else. What else did Archibald collect from the garden? Something dropped from the window. The murder weapon, right?
What a revelation!
Archibald dropped the murder weapon from the window, collected it, then hid it in the secret room. Smart. Alright. Now that I'm done thinking...
There is no use, lad. When you asked me yesterday about seeing someone out there, I thought the game was up.
That does not explain what you are doing out there.
When Lizzie took me to the study, the knife was still in the Major's chest, and I knew I had to get rid of it. I dropped it out of the window, knowing no one would be going outside. It was fine for the time being, but I couldn't risk it being found when the snow melted.
So you collected it under the cover of darkness and stowed it away in here where you thought no one would find it.
After your questioning in the pantry, I knew you were onto something, and I couldn't leave it here.
And where did you plan on moving it to?
Honestly, I don't know.
It's a fair answer. Collecting the item and hiding it to save Elizabeth, he must truly want to protect her from the law. I mean, yeah. It's just kind of the vibe, bro. Nope. Did I just talk to you again?
There is no use. Why what? Why I would risk everything to help Lizzie?
Exactement.
Because she is family. If you were in that position, you would do the same.
I can assure you, monsieur, that I would not.
Then perhaps that says something about you, Detective. I would do anything for her. For any of my staff.
Even if it means crossing the boundaries of the law?
Without question.
The lengths that Monsieur Sterling would go to protect someone he considers family is admirable, but when those lengths break the very laws that are in place to protect the innocent, they cannot be ignored.
Aye, Detective. But please, you have to help Lizzie. It was all an accident. She doesn't deserve to spend the rest of her days behind bars because of that man.
If she is put behind bars, it is because that is what the courts have decided upon.
Detective, you can't be so cruel.
It is not cruelty, monsieur. It is the law.
After all these further revelations, my mind is as busy as Monsieur Goulet's chocolate shop. I have all the pieces of the puzzle to deduce why Elizabeth killed the Major. Now I must allow my little grey cells to put them together. I'm assuming dead husband, but maybe he did attack her. After finding those documents in the hidden room, things are starting to fall into place as to why Elizabeth may have killed him. Okay, let's see. Well, he was forming an army. He did kill prisoners of war, which is bad. And from some time after the Major contacted old friends, was building his militia. Luke died at the factory strike. Ernesto paid the Major well for his support. Security attacked first. Maybe that's one?
Order and method.
Elizabeth's the murderer?
I must act on thought and... I cannot see the logic in this.
Alright, what are my options? Whoop. Major's not receiving pension. The Major killed prisoners. The Major paid the blackmail ransom. The Major was in a bad financial state. Okay, so probably this.
The pieces of the puzzle of...
The Major's financial struggles must have left him in need of a source of income. Who could the Major have turned to in his time of need? Alright, let's just do this.
I should not be surprised.
This information would have destroyed his reputation if unveiled a strong motive for blackmail. Major's being blackmailed over war crimes. He's desperate for a well-paid job.
Some would say a lucky guess.
The Major needed the job to go ahead. It was the only way to guarantee money in his pocket. What could he do to ensure the job would be complete? The Major needed to ensure the job would be complete.
Things are beginning to become...
To secure his payment, the Major must have ordered the attack at the strikes. What were the consequences of the Major ordering the first attack? Luke died.
Another success.
The Major's actions unfortunately led to the death of Luke, and all for greed. Who would have been the most affected by this? Elizabeth?
Magnifique.
Elizabeth has probably lost more than anyone else involved. She may have sought her revenge. Elizabeth doesn't seem like the vengeful type, but all signs are pointing to her seeking revenge for her beloved Luke. What you gonna do? If I am to confront Mademoiselle Elizabeth, I must be at my best and my little grey cells at their most alert. It is time to at least try and rest. Or we're going to bed. I have no time to wallow in my lack of sleep. I must confront Mademoiselle Elizabeth and hopefully finally know the truth of what took place. This is so weird. Like, I'm pretty sure Archibald and all the rest of the staff are like, Elizabeth, he knows. He's gonna come talk to you. There, stab me. Yeah.
Detective Poirot, I'm glad you're awake.
Stop the investigation if there's no investigator.
Bonjour, mademoiselle. It has certainly not been a night of peaceful sleep. There is something that we must discuss.
Please, detective, I'm not sure I can take any more surprises like last night.
I'm afraid this may be the most upsetting of them all.
You have found Felix's killer, haven't you?
Yeah.
I have. And the guilty party will certainly come as a shock.
Detective, please.
It was Mademoiselle Elizabeth that was behind the Major's death.
You must be mistaken. Elizabeth could not do such a thing.
What up, Rip? Heck yeah, you're coming at like a... You know, revelations are happening. We're close to the end.
I assure you I am not. It is something I spent much of last night deliberating. When you spoke of the telephone lines being out of order, it made me question the conversation I thought I had heard Monsieur Sterling make with the Major before connecting the call to him.
But it hasn't been working all weekend.
Exactement, mademoiselle. That is when I knew I had once again been lied to.
So I was like, if you don't want spoilers, but just letting you know, like, we figured out who the killer is. We figured out the weapon. We figured out when, where, a little bit of the why. We're iffy on the why. Well, we have a solid lead on the why. It's either you did it for revenge or you defended yourself, but like, we got options.
She was meant to be resting in the staff quarters. She has not been well.
I still think your sub badges are really cute. Oh, thank you. I think I have like, what, 18 different sub badges? And it's all of different variations of the cats that you see. So it's just like, it's like regular cat. And then I think they become like jelly cats. And then they become like sparkling cats. And then it's like jelly sparkling. And I think the very last one is like a super like rainbow jelly sparkle cat or something. How you been though? I've been good. I have to wait again for news because we had like the meeting today and they're like, let you know in a week. And I'm like, you better let me know before the weekend's over. I'd like to know yes or no. So good, excited, hopeful. We're almost in February. It's crazy.
I am afraid that was yet another lie, orchestrated to keep her from incriminating herself.
Why would you think that, detective?
Oh, thank you.
I only managed a few words with her before we were quite abruptly interrupted by Monsieur Sterling.
I must admit, he has a habit of speaking over the other staff.
It was much more than merely disturbing our conversation. It was done with the intention to prevent Mademoiselle saying something that she should not.
So, Elizabeth killed Felix, and then Archibald helped her cover it up?
In its simplest form, oui. I have heard it directly from the horse's mouth.
Nay.
You have spoken with Elizabeth already? Did she admit to it?
Not Elizabeth, but Monsieur Sterling.
I wasn't. What were you doing in there, detective?
It was Monsieur Sterling that I found in there. I was taken by some surprise to hear anyone awake at that hour.
What on earth was he doing?
Do you not know about the secret room?
He claimed he was merely reminiscing of his time with the family.
You don't believe him?
It did not take long for me to uncover the truth of why he was there, and the location of the Major's murder weapon.
Hidden area?
A room that held all of the Major's secrets.
I had no idea. Did you discover the reason for his blackmail?
War crimes.
I did. Were you aware he was dishonorably discharged from the army?
Dishonorably? What does that mean?
I will not hide the truth from Mademoiselle, but I will try and be as delicate as possible with the news of the Major's prior actions.
Yes, Gideon told me about the conversation you had. It is really quite upsetting.
Okay, so you know how Gideon's brother Zach was in a war and is not doing too great? Well, the Major might have killed some POWs from his side.
Zachariah was adamant of the Major's cruelty during the war, but the extent was not known until now. He killed a number of prisoners, men that were friends of Zachariah.
Surely not. He would not do such a thing. They must have been trying to escape.
I am afraid not. They were in fact unarmed.
Oh, detective.
It is the reason he was discharged, denied his military pension, and I believe the reason he fled England.
He had been such an important part of my life for so long, but I feel like I hardly knew him. In a sense, you said it was she that killed him.
It was her hand that held the knife, but he was quite insistent it happened in self-defense.
In all of the years I have known her, she has barely even raised her voice. I cannot believe she would do something like that out of malice.
The whole truth cannot be known until Mademoiselle Elizabeth has told her story.
I allowed my perception of her character to conceal any thought of her involvement. It seems I'm not the only one.
Will you allow me to be present?
I think that is an excellent idea. I hope your presence will calm her and will perhaps allow her to speak more freely.
I don't know if she'd speak more freely with her boss right there.
Please, detective. I know she has done a terrible thing, but I beg of you to give her the time to explain herself.
I will offer Mademoiselle Elizabeth the fair trial that she deserves, as I would with any suspect.
Thank you, Detective Poirot.
Would you bring Mademoiselle Elizabeth to the study, where we will not be disturbed?
Of course, I'll find her immediately.
Alright, I believe what Monsieur Sterling has already told me about the events that occurred between Mademoiselle Elizabeth and the Major. I do not believe she would have had to do what she did if he had not attacked her and pushed her to the point where she feared for her life. I must listen to her story, the truth, and only then can her punishment be determined. Alright. We know you killed him, but why?
Mademoiselle Elizabeth, merci for joining us.
Miss Angeline said you requested to see me urgently.
We have some serious matters to discuss, and I would like to waste no further time.
Oh, yes, Detective.
Does she not know? I feel like the other servants would have told her.
Still not quite myself.
I was surprised when Monsieur Sterling hurried you to assist Madame Vandenbosch last night.
I should not have avoided my duties for so long. The house does not stop because I'm feeling a little under the weather.
That is true, but you cannot be expected to complete all your tasks if you are not in the right frame of mind.
Honestly, Detective, it was best for me to not sit and wallow anymore. Have you been able to uncover who the blackmailer is?
The blackmailer's identity has been established, and they will pay the price for their crimes.
Wonderful news, Detective. You can put it all behind you now. You must be thrilled.
I would not say thrilled, knowing that such a close friend has betrayed us.
Mademoiselle is correct. What I have learned over this weekend is that people are not always as they appear. While they may give an impression of being a friend or ally, they can in fact be something completely different.
And, what of the Major's killer?
Well, Mademoiselle, that is why I have asked you here now.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what you want me to say, Detective.
Your honest opinion is all I ask, and, s'il te plaît, do not hold back. No one else felt it necessary.
We only spoke when there was something in the house to be done. We did not speak of interests or pastimes.
You knew of his work with Monsieur de Silva?
I only know what is required of me to know, and that is very little.
But you were aware of his work as security at Monsieur de Silva's factory.
I was.
The factory your beloved Luke worked at, before he was cruelly taken from this world.
Yes, Detective. Yes, that is where he spent his last moments. Standing shoulder to shoulder with his fellow workers.
The resulting riots were a terrible tragedy. One that I hope we will not have to see or experience again. Something that could have been avoided had the Major and his team done what was required of them.
Nobody deserved to die that day. Not my Luke.
Detective, what kind of question is that?
Do you blame him?
It is a straightforward one.
He...
Mademoiselle, if there is something you wish to tell me, now is that time.
I'm sorry, Detective. I just don't know how to answer it.
Let us consider what we know of the Major. He fronted the militia that attacked the workers at the strike. You were aware of this? You finally had someone to blame for Luke's death. Someone conveniently located in the same house, alone in his study.
No, Detective. It wasn't like that.
Tell me what happened with the Major on the evening of his death.
I was only in here trying to prove what I heard Mr. Beckers say. I was going to report him, I swear. Miss Angeline, you believe me, don't you?
I want to. I am still trying to understand it all myself. Why don't you start from the beginning?
I was delivering Miss Angeline's dress to her room when I heard Mr. Beckers arguing with the Major in his study. They were ever so loud. I thought the whole house would have been listening to what they were saying. Mr. Beckers was talking about the factory strikes and how it was the Major's fault. He told him that if he didn't own up to his crimes, he would go to the newspapers.
I cannot imagine the Major would have taken kindly to Monsieur Becker's threat.
He didn't. He called him some rather uncouth names before Mr. Beckers left and went downstairs. I made sure to keep out of sight. After the altercation between the Major and Master Gideon, you went to speak with him outside, and I thought I could look around his study without anyone knowing. I had to know for sure. If it was true, he deserved to be held accountable.
And did you find the proof you are looking for?
I found a payment from Mr. De Silva, but there was nothing incriminating about that. I was so nervous. I felt like my heart was beating out of my chest.
And then you saw the blackmail note.
I recognized the writing on the envelope. I couldn't believe it. How could he do such a thing to Angeline? To the family that had taken him in?
Common sense would determine the Major was another victim of the blackmailer.
Ooh.
If I'd have used common sense, I wouldn't have been snooping around alone in his study in the first place. I heard the footsteps in the hall, and before I could move, the Major was standing in front of me, demanding to know why I was going through his belongings without permission. I tried to come up with an excuse, but nothing came out, and when he saw the letter in my hand, it was like Dr. Jekyll turning into Mr. Hyde. I tried to move around him towards the door, but he hurled something towards me, and it crashed against the wall.
That would explain the damage to the wall.
I froze. I have never been so scared in all my life. I thought he was going to kill me there and then.
And you thought you would beat him to it?
Oh, Detective, you make it sound as though I had it all planned. He lunged forward and grabbed me by the arm. I tried to push him away, but he was too strong. His grip just got tighter and tighter. If only you had seen the look in his eyes, I dared not even scream. I saw the sheath on his belt. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to hurt him, but he wouldn't let go of me.
So you took your opportunity to put an end to it all.
I just wanted to get him off me. I didn't want to hurt him. I reached for it and I jabbed it at him. His grip instantly loosened and I ran straight out the door and didn't look back.
Just arm.
You did not even look to see what state you had left him in?
She had just been attacked, Detective.
Oui, please. Continue.
I ran down to the pantry looking for Rahana. She took one look at me and knew something was wrong. I explained to her what had happened and she went to find Archie. She said he would know what to do. We went back to the study and he was still lying there, motionless. Archie said that no one would believe me. That if someone like me killed someone like him, I would be sent straight to the gallows. He left the letter so you would find it. He said that if people knew what the Major was really like, then they wouldn't care what happened to him.
So I am to believe that it was Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna that cleaned the scene and orchestrated a plan that included a fake telephone call and dressing as the Major so that he may be seen. You had nothing to do with that.
I swear I had no idea that is what they had done. Archie just told me to stay out of sight. I am no master criminal.
Man, you're about to lose like your entire staff, Angeline.
Then Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna will be charged for obstruction of justice and impeding my investigation.
Please, Detective, they were only trying to help me.
If they wished to help you, they should have brought all of this to my attention immediately instead of committing more illegal acts.
Surely you haven't forgotten what happened with Fleurette. She was only accused of stealing a bracelet. I killed a man.
It is a day I have not forgotten, mademoiselle. Even for a moment.
Without your help, I don't stand a chance. Please, Detective Poirot, you are the only one that can help me.
Oh, Elizabeth, why didn't you come to me?
I didn't think you would believe me. I felt so guilty. And when it was announced yesterday that he was a victim of the blackmailer, I wanted to tell you everything. I came to find you last night, Detective, but Archie stopped me. I'm sorry.
Come, my little grey cells, let us solve this mystery. Alright. See, so I'm guessing the Y.
This will not get me any closer to...
Defensive strike?
I should not be surprised.
Elizabeth's story confirms Margot's claim the Major's death was the result of a defensive strike. Finally, I've solved the case of the Major's murder. I must admit, I take no joy in declaring Mademoiselle Elizabeth as the killer, and I wish she had never been put in such a position at all. Resolve the blackmail and murder cases completely. Yay! Do I talk to you now?
Yes, of course.
Nope.
Pardonnez-moi. For...
Do I talk to you? I talk to Elizabeth. So.
Oh, yes.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know where it is.
Wait, I thought I found the missing knife.
If you have been honest with me until now...
I'm sorry, I really don't know. Archie dropped it out of the study window and he said he would deal with it. I couldn't bear to touch the thing.
I have the knife in my possession, and I believe that from Mademoiselle's reaction, she does not know what became of it. She is unaware of the efforts that Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Johanna went to mask what she had done. Monsieur Sterling was not lying when he said he would do anything for her.
Please, I was only protecting myself. I didn't want to hurt him. He just wouldn't let me go.
Oui, mademoiselle. I know. Mademoiselle tells quite the harrowing story.
I cannot imagine the Major acting in such a way. But Elizabeth could not make up such a story.
After learning what I have about the Major's character this weekend, I would not question the lengths he would go to in order to keep his secret hidden. I know that you share a close bond with Mademoiselle Elizabeth, but you cannot allow your personal feelings to taint your belief of what took place.
She has committed a terrible crime, but she will live with that for the rest of her life. She is not a cold-blooded killer.
If what she says of the Major's attack is true, she acted in self-defense. And in the law's eyes, a crime has not been committed. I will do everything I can to make sure her story is heard and a fair trial is conducted.
I believe the version of events that Mademoiselle Elizabeth has confessed to are true, the Major having fallen into a fit of rage at the prospect of his sordid secrets coming to light. He attacked the young Mademoiselle and drove her to do what she had to do to protect herself. She put herself in a dangerous position, but there is a small part of me that commends the duty she felt to find justice for her beloved and the other workers that lost their lives at the Major's order. If the telephone line is now working, I must call in my findings. With the remaining snow, it may still be some time before they arrive.
Mademoiselle, it is time I address the house.
Are you sure? What will you say? What if they do not listen?
I can assure you, they will.
Elizabeth was right, though. She's just a servant. What if they...
Mademoiselle, when Detective Poirot speaks, they will listen. Would you ask the guests to convene in the library?
Of course. And what of the staff?
I have told Monsieur Sterling to remain in the staff quarters with the others. When the authorities arrive, they shall be dealt with. You have been of great help to me throughout my investigation, and now that it is over, I have one final request.
You only need to ask.
While I am speaking with the guests in the library, would you watch over Mademoiselle Elizabeth in my room?
You don't think she will try and escape, do you?
In her position, I do not know what she might try. But I trust with you there, any potential ideas of such a thing will be squashed.
Chapter 9. Alright. So here's what happened. Over this crazy weekend. The denouement.
Detective, you have spent more time making us sit and wait for you than anything else.
Madame Van den Bosch, if you think I have spent my time focused on anything besides uncovering the Major's killer, you are sorely mistaken.
I'm sure you will be eager to share your findings with us then.
All in good time, Madame. Firstly, to understand the truth of what has occurred this weekend, one must know the timeline of events that not only preceded the Major's death, but succeeded.
We are all well aware of what happened before, Detective. You can save your breath.
You are only aware of what the guilty parties wanted you to believe. But now I shall apprise you to the true events. The reason for us all being here, you know. The altercation between Monsieur Demire and the Major, you know. The body of Monsieur Hagen was found while we were all sat enjoying a most delicious meal. That you also know. But what was kept from us all was that his body lay on the study floor for far longer than was thought.
It was that servant. She found him.
S'il te plaît, monsieur. It was indeed young Inga that found the Major's body lying lifeless in the study.
So it was her.
Monsieur, I will not allow for any further interruptions. I return to the Major's body. If we are to believe the scene that we were presented with, the Major must have been killed during the first course of our meal, a meal that none of you left, even for a moment. Speaking in the evening, you all confirmed one another's alibis, and although there was doubt in the validity of some, I confirmed that they were indeed all true. What I could not understand was how a man came to be found dead, and every guest accounted for at the time of death. That is until I questioned the latter. Monsieur Beckers, I shall now allow you to speak. You saw the Major smoking a cigar in the snow. Is that true?
It is.
False. You saw what you were meant to see. Someone in the Major's coat standing outside, giving the illusion that the Major was still very much alive. Monsieur da Silva, on the afternoon of the Major's death, do you recall hearing a telephone ring?
Now that you mention it, I have not heard a single ring all weekend.
Correct. The telephone lines have been down for the duration of our stay, meaning the telephone call that was received and promptly directed to the Major's study was yet another act of trickery and deceit. But it did not end there. When I entered the study for the first time, it was obvious someone had already been there and falsified the scene to stage a burglary and clear away important evidence, including the murder weapon. What followed was an investigation that had already been hindered. But even those lengths were not enough to derail me for long.
I think we have all had enough of your self-praise, Detective. Perhaps you would like to tell us who killed him now?
Madame, as I'm sure you would expect, it is not as simple as that. What many of you do not know is the discussion that was had between the Major and Monsieur Beckers earlier that day.
What has that got to do with anything? I told you I didn't kill him.
That I know to be true. What you do not know is that it was not only his ears that heard your spoken words.
I hope you are not implying I had something to do with it.
No, madame. There was another. Mademoiselle Elizabeth. You are all aware that the Major was hired by Monsieur da Silva to front the security during the workers' strikes. What very few of you know is that it was the Major's order that instigated the vicious attacks on those unarmed men and resulted in numerous deaths, including Mademoiselle Elizabeth's fiancé, Luc. Monsieur Beckers confronted the Major, declaring that he was to hand himself in. That is what Mademoiselle Elizabeth overheard. Now, knowing the truth, she waited until the Major was away from his study. After he stepped outside, following the confrontation with Monsieur Demir's fist, it looked to be the perfect opportunity. Or so she thought.
Can't skip it.
The Major returned and found her looking for the proof she required to hand him over to the authorities.
If the maid bumped him off, why hasn't she been arrested?
The events that followed in the study are not those of a cold-blooded murder, but one of a young girl that had no other option but to protect her own life.
Sounds to me, Detective, like you have taken a shine to this young girl and would rather protest her innocence than arrest her for murder, the crime she has committed. Jeez, this is gonna make for a juicy story.
Mademoiselle, I ask you this. You have seen the Major's anger before, oui?
What if I have?
How do you think he would have reacted if someone was to find proof that he had committed a terrible act, and that if made public, would surely result in his incarceration? Exactement.
It is quite the story you have told, Detective, but all I have heard is that Elizabeth overheard a conversation blaming the Major for her fiancé's death, and she murdered him in revenge. A servant killing a man that is as revered as he was. She will face the noose.
I am not denying that a man has lost his life, but it is not the crime of murder that you all believe. While the Major did not deserve to die in such a way, it was his actions towards Mademoiselle Elizabeth that drove her to defend herself in any way she could. Mademoiselle Elizabeth will be punished, but we will let the law decide the severity of her punishment.
She has played you like a fiddle, Detective, acting the innocent victim. She will be arrested and hanged for her crime, like every other cold-blooded killer.
Here.
Give her what she deserves.
The girl has got to pay for what she's done.
Okay. My question is, why did we do that long recap? Like, we know this. We know all these facts. I feel like it should have been shorter. Just like, Elizabeth did it because the major blah, blah, blah. But just kept going and going. I'm like, we know this. Why are we recapping this? I could not have been clear with what occurred in the major's study. They all have forgotten their own perceptions of the major, the terrible crimes he's committed, and what he's done to them, all in one way or another. I can't allow for Mademoiselle Elizabeth's sentence to be negatively influenced by those in the house. I must help them to see how their past actions have led to these unfortunate circumstances and losses of life. Perhaps I should remind them all of their participation in not only the workers' strike, but the resulting riots.
Those of you that are calling for the hanging of Mademoiselle Elizabeth, have you forgotten the roles you played? Your actions have been far from innocent.
Okay, so.
Look, Detective, I see where you are going with this, but it's not going to work. So maybe the strikes were down to De Silva and Beckers. But don't try and drag me into their mistakes.
Mademoiselle Conrad, if you are so confident of your innocence, perhaps we should begin with you.
Convincing Mademoiselle Conrad to admit to her involvement will not be an easy feat. She is strong-minded and has deflected questions in the past. Perhaps a more aggressive approach is in order. Accusing! It's aggressive.
You don't need to imply it's only me that does. Ask any of my journalists, they'll say the same.
Even if in the process people are hurt? You knew the situation surrounding the strikes and only sought to swell the anger in people and create further chaos. Mademoiselle, you so often have something to say. Now is not the time for silence.
You really are delusional. Maybe...
Should keep your theories. Alright, forceful shaming. Forceful?
You obviously have no idea what goes on in my world. I would say stick to honest police work, but it seems that it's not in your field either.
Frustrated, disgust. Frustrated.
You know what it's like to get your hands dirty, Detective. You can't expect others not to do the same.
Mademoiselle, I do not have time for your excuses. Do you wish to state your direct involvement, or should I?
It's not... Okay, fine. Yes, the story was going nowhere. There was a deal on the table, and it was going to be done and dusted. Everything you said is true. I wanted the story. The scoop that would have blown the others out of the water. I never wanted anyone to get hurt. But I can see what I did wasn't right. I didn't think you had this side in you. I can see now why Angeline asked for you personally. You're not like other cops. It's clear it's the law and doing the right thing through and through with you. If you say it was self-defense, I believe you.
We can't just forget what that girl has done. It's not Jackie's fault, or any of ours, that she decided to do what she did.
Monsieur Beckers, you are the last person I expected to defend Mademoiselle Conrad. We talked only last night, and correct me if I am wrong, but you have already declared the role you played. To me, at least.
Yes, we talked. It's just not fair of you to attack Jackie like that, putting words in her mouth until she succumbs to your plan.
I know enough of Monsieur Beckers to know that pushing him will not yield the results I need. Playing the role of an ally may be the best way to approach. Direct?
Detective, I'm afraid you're misunderstood. That is not how it was. It was not my intention for things to escalate as they did. I could not have predicted that would happen. Jackie was documenting everything to do with the strikes. She wanted our story to be heard and wanted to know how I was handling the negotiations.
And they were handled by yourself?
Naturally. If I cannot handle simple negotiations, I am not fit to be in the position I am in.
Ally. Sarcastic.
I was only pushing for what my men deserved, what they needed. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, Detective. Surely you must know that. Nothing is ever simple, Detective. I'm sure you understand that better than anyone.
Sympathetic?
You're right, Detective. I have tried so hard to deny my part, but I know only too well that my decisions led to the death of those men. I know I cannot excuse what I've done. I just want you all to know that I am not a hateful or malicious man. I only wanted to prove that I was the right man. I have lived in other shadows for so long. I thought I would be able to finally step into the light and be the one that everyone remembered, not forgot.
If there's another long scene, I'm gonna run to grab a snack.
Monsieur da Silva offered me a deal and I turned it down. I thought I was doing right by the workers. But it was only myself I was thinking about.
What more proof do you need? He said it himself. I made a generous offer to reach a resolution, and he turned his nose up at it.
Why is his volume so loud now?
It was not that simple, though. An offer was made, but Monsieur Beckers and the workers would never have been forced into that position had their working conditions been satisfactory to begin with.
This is outrageous! Do you plan on blaming everyone for doing their jobs? I suppose it makes you feel better about yourself, doesn't it?
Although Monsieur de Silva eventually opened up, he was defensive when we discussed the matters of his blackmail, and that was a private conversation behind closed doors. I cannot imagine he'll be forthcoming in front of other guests. He's going to need some convincing to admit his faults again. Direct.
It may be a big deal to you, but I am used to workers not being happy with something. And most of the time, that unhappiness is directed at me. When you're in charge of your own factory, you'll understand. I handled the situation the best I could. If you think otherwise, maybe you have proved us all right, that you aren't the great detective you claim to be.
Proud, threatening, straightforward.
You said it. Anonymous. I don't know them, and it doesn't sound like they know me. When you have something people want, money, they will do anything, including constructing lies to get their hands on it.
Monsieur da Silva, you seem to have forgotten our previous conversations.
I recall them just fine, thank you. A police officer trying to manipulate facts to fit his own agenda. Shocking.
Ooh, forceful or assertive? Claims of abuse and the hiring of a militia. Those are facts that have been twisted to my agenda. Let's try that.
Is that what you plan to do?
Oh, no.
Accuse us all of something until we feel enough guilt that we agree to allow the girl to walk free.
The events that led to the Major's murder are not as simple as you have tried to convince yourself. I have uncovered what initiated both the murder of your workers and of the Major. It is you that refuses to accept the truth.
Apparently anyone can become a detective.
Through all...
Order? There's no order in beating down who you...
Monsieur da Silva, you have stood steadfast.
Detective, you would do well.
It was not my intention. I only want those responsible to be held accountable for their actions.
Oh.
The Major's death does not fall on one person alone.
Are we gonna redo his part or no?
Does your position on Mademoiselle Elizabeth's guilt remain the same?
Even after all your attempts, Detective, Felix was still murdered. Self-defense or not, she chose to hide what she had done because she knew what she had done was wrong. And she will be punished for it.
It was not choice to hide anything, madame. If in her position, I ask, what would you have done? The Major has already furiously thrown an object at you, barely missing your head, and now has hold of your arm.
I wouldn't have driven a knife into him, that I can tell you for sure. She is no fool. She intended to kill, not to defend.
Madame von den Bosch will be a much greater challenge, but my method of approach has worked with her before. If I am to sway her into seeing that Mademoiselle Elizabeth had no other option, I must persuade her that it was the Major's action that drove her to do what she did. The closest Violet Timber cannot come as a surprise. It's the first time it's shown. Forthright?
He was a passionate man. Sometimes conversations and arguments turned heated, yes.
So...
Direct, the Major strongly dismissed. Are you aware why he played the role of a caring friend? Try direct.
I'm sure that is none of my business.
The Major shot and killed a number of unarmed prisoners as they were bound and terrified, posing no threat. His actions are unforgivable and should not be defended by anyone.
You judge him so harshly, but I return the question. What would you have done in his position?
Not shoot the prisoners?
He had made mistakes. I will not deny that. In those moments when a decision had to be made, It fell to him, and he did what he saw fit.
Making a poor decision once is a mistake. Making it twice is a choice. Major order the attack on unarmed workers.
I did not know the circumstances of it. If he made that choice, he must have thought there was no other option.
I don't think I did good
S'il te plaît,
with
madame.
her.
I ask that you consider everything you know of the Major carefully.
My friend has been murdered in cold blood, and you have the gall to ask me to save her? I will see to it that your superiors know of your crooked tendencies and wavering morals. Elizabeth will hang for this. There is no more a fitting punishment for her crime.
I knew that you had a cold heart, but never would I have expected to see you turn on a young girl so cruelly.
Oh yeah, they're supposed to be besties.
Excuse me?
She may have been the one that held the knife, but look at the monster that stood before her. It could not be clearer the type of man... No, I shall refrain from offending men everywhere. The type of creature that he was. He bribed, he extorted, he murdered. And yet when he attacks a young girl and she does us a favor and stops him for good, she is punished.
I'm sorry, Margot, but I am struggling to understand why you have involved yourself in this affair.
Because that girl does not deserve your judgment. You should be ashamed of yourself. You all should be for allowing this to happen.
Countess, I have talked at length of the Major's death, but not the reason for my invitation in the first place.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's the blackmailer.
When I last gathered you all together, I spoke of a blackmail ring that was rife in the area, and then of the letter that the Major had received. Mademoiselle Angeline requested my help personally after she received such a letter threatening her family name. She felt I was the only one that could uncover the truth. And uncover the truth I have.
Get on with it, detective. Who dared try and extort my family and then have the gall to allow me to welcome them into my home?
If it was not for the honesty of a young servant, I would perhaps still be looking for the
For goodness sake, it was me.
Margot, how could you?
While it looked as though the Countess was helping the young women at the shelter, she was in fact only finding them positions of employment in wealthy homes to gather information on them and learn secrets that she would ultimately be able to use against them. Monsieur da Silva fell victim to her network of moles and was in turn blackmailed. It was quite the prosperous setup you had, knowing that they would not be prepared to lose their social standing if a secret was to find its way from where it had been hidden for so long.
That cannot be true, Margot.
How that is rich, coming from you.
You are one of my oldest friends.
High and mighty Madame van den Bosch. You think you can do what you wish when you wish it and there will be no repercussions. You are as bad as all of them.
If I do not get a straight answer out of you, I will march you to the police station myself.
I'm surprised it took the Major this long to start living with you. He must have been on the edge for some time.
How dare you speak to me like that? In my own home.
A home you share with the father of your daughter for so many years, and she still remains none the wiser.
Margot, shh.
You have no right.
Oh.
Maman.
Angeline? Have you heard what she has admitted to? She is merely trying to make herself...
Is what she says true? Felix, he was my father? That is the secret that the letter was talking about, isn't it? You told me that we had nothing to hide. Detective Poirot, were you aware of this?
Oui, mademoiselle. But it was not my place to repeat.
I don't understand. What about father?
Your mama betrayed the love of a good, honest man and played away behind his back and then kept it hidden for all these years like a lady of the night with her client list.
You will say no more. Angeline,
Felix know.
This is not an appropriate conversation. He knew, dear girl. He knew the whole time. It is only dear Edwin that was blind to their deceit. You will not talk of him like that. You will not talk of him at all. If I don't, who will? You never deserved him. You don't even deserve the memory of him.
Countess, there is something that you still have not explained.
What more is there for her to say?
How long were you in love with the Viscount for?
More drama!
Margot? Is that true?
We were destined to be together. And then you turned up. And I was all but forgotten about.
But you were nothing more than friends.
And you made sure of that, didn't you? From the day you arrived, it was all about what you wanted and what you had to do to get it. You didn't consider Edwin at all. He was just a purse to you.
I loved my husband, and I miss him every day.
Loved him enough to stray?
Oh.
Both of you, no more.
Please, Angeline, let me explain.
Maman, I do not wish to hear anything else from you.
Not even your own daughter wants to hear your lies anymore. Cassandra Van den Bosch, all alone.
How dare you!
I was gonna grab a snack. I got sucked in. I was like, oh, drama. Wait, is he just leaving? Hold on. You smile?
While I feel a sense of satisfaction and pride in solving both cases, there is still a part of me that is reluctant to revel in triumph. I am content with the unmasking of Comtesse de Vos as the blackmailer, and knowing that she will pay for her crimes. But it is the justice for Mademoiselle Elizabeth that worries me. She will stand in a court of law, and I can only hope that they can see she acted in self-defense. I must trust that our legal system and justice will prevail, and a fair sentencing will be given. In protecting her own life, she took the life of another. Perhaps the guilt she must live with is a greater punishment than any sentence she can receive.
Maybe. Complete chapter 9. Did it. Credits.
Comtesse de Vos was taken from Nemozinet House in cuffs and placed under arrest. Although she initially tried to plead her innocence, Inga, along with a number of other girls that the Comtesse had found employment for, came forward and made full statements. She was charged with 5 counts of blackmail and extortion and sent to a house of corrections, where she will have a new life to become accustomed to.
How long? How long?
Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna were also reprimanded for their participation. While they may not be facing time in prison, tampering with a crime scene and obstruction of a police investigation are certainly not something that houses and new employers will look positively on. Mademoiselle Angeline finally became Madame Demire, and together they took up residence in England, where Monsieur Demire continues to support and fight for fairness and equality in London. I am happy to say that we have remained in contact, and Madame Demire has become a regular correspondent of mine. And the latest joyous news is that they are expecting a child of their own.
Aww.
After Madame Van den Bosch's secret was revealed to the world, her position in the social hierarchy was no more, disappearing in a moment. While she still resides in Belgium, I believe she has had to adapt to a far more modest way of life. A humbling experience for her, I am sure. Madame Demire has not mentioned her maman in a single letter. After the discovery of her real father and how she had been lied to for so many years, I am not surprised if her departure from Belgium was somewhat an act of separation from her maman. Mademoiselle Conrad left Nemozinet House the same way she entered, confident in herself and audacious in her opinions. Her report of the Major's murder at the house and the surrounding blackmails became one of the most talked about stories of the year. While there were certain details of her own involvement that did not make it to print, she was really quite complimentary about the detective at the heart of the case.
Oh, thanks.
Monsieur da Silva tried to continue in his position as factory owner and business entrepreneur, but after his accounts and business dealings were investigated following the details of his blackmail being made public in Mademoiselle Conrad's article, his illustrious business empire began to crumble and is now facing an international corporate investigation.
Oof.
Monsieur Becker stepped down from his position as union leader, accepting that he was no longer fit to represent the workforce that, in his words, he had let down on a scale of unmeasurable proportion. Although he is no longer the voice of the workers, he continues to support them from behind the scenes. Monsieur Zachariah and his brother made amends, and returning to his family home, and after sobering up, he was able to find the help that he required. I understand that he is now helping fellow soldiers with similar conditions.
Aww.
And Mademoiselle Elizabeth. She stood before a court and was found guilty of second-degree murder. She was sentenced to time in a female correctional house on the outskirts of the city. Alone in a foreign country with no friends or family for support, it will certainly be a hard life for her there. Her mental and physical strength will surely be tested to their limits, but she could not go unpunished. Without repercussions, we would become a society of animals.
How long, though? How long was she in jail for? It's an important detail.
The death of Elizabeth's beloved Luc has been at the center of everything. Had those in positions to help not acted with only themselves in mind, perhaps he would still be alive today, and the Major would have paid the price for his own crimes in the eyes of the law, not at the blade of a knife. The blood of Major Felix Egan will remain on Elizabeth's hands. A stain that wherever she is and whatever she may do, she will never be able to wash clean. However, it will remain as a reminder to not only her, but all of us, of what we as human beings are capable of to protect ourselves. We all have something that may be considered shameful or sinful, and it is how we deal with it that shows our true character. Those involved in the riots, the workers' deaths, and the Major's killing believed themselves to be untouchable. Whether it was from their social standing or their confidence in themselves, they learned that everyone is accountable for their actions. There is no exemption because of the suit you wear or the money in your bank account. There is no price to a man's life. It cannot be bought or traded or discarded. No man is better than another, including Detective Hercule Poirot.
Interesting. I just want to know how long the people were in prison for. Yay! And now we let the credits roll. Not bad, not bad. Let's see. 9.5 hours. That's... Crushed it. Do I have time? I think I have time. I'm gonna go heat up the rest of that steak quesadilla I was gifted yesterday because it's so good. Good job, everybody. Here, look at Blondie while I'm doing stuff. Kisses for the blonde girl. She's probably honestly cuter to look at than me. That's okay, now I have steak quesadilla. Ooh, I wonder what it sounds like in German. Oh, one day. So not bad, not bad. I mean, she still went to jail. Kind of sucks, but they didn't hang her. But they also did not tell us how long she was in prison for. You know, they just kind of left it really aloof. Where I was like, okay, how long? Is she ever gonna get out? All I know is, for the people who watch the VOD or the YouTube, I want to say there's like 3 or 4 moments where micro sleep hit me, because I didn't get much sleep last night. And you know, when you're calm and relaxed and you're just like listening to the wonderful calming voice of Hercule Poirot, you're just like, and you just you just pass out for a second and you're like, I'm awake, I'm here. So for my eagle eye viewers, I took a quick nap. Micro nap. Doesn't happen often. Usually like cold, heat, or, you know, food, or the fact that I'm chugging caffeine. Usually I'm okay, but nope. Still slip through. I can't wait to tell Gabe. Like, guess what? Fell asleep. Alright. Good? Good. Ta-da! Yeah, can I see the collectibles? Like, what did I get from that? Just bracelet?
Detective Poirot, I trust
no!
you well.
No!
It has been many years since you passed last cross.
No!
And while I'm sure your recollection of the events...
I wanted to see collectibles. Press E to view. Oh, the reward is just the thing? Okay, hold on. What is this? Okay, so it's Poirot when he's young, and then when he's mid, and then when he's old. I like his mid. Okay, well, we're gonna take some look at the collectibles. Alteration. Oh, I'm getting some Mads Mikkelsen vibes in the bottom right. The Major. This was supposed to be the Major? Oh, I'm glad they changed it to who we have now. Interrogations? Bro, these outfits are nice. Can I just take this to a tailor and be like, you see these outfits? I want them. Can you make them? The Secret? Dr. 9? Oh, no, why'd they give the little X to that outfit? It's cute. Definitely liking the aesthetic. Wow. Good character study. Too formal. Flower in pocket. Dutch patterns. Oh, these are just great. Oh, and that's how I got the pink thing. Okay. Nice. Nice, I look good. Well traveled. I wish I could just scrub through all of it instead of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh, and these were gonna be all the different guests? Wow, look at the different shapes of them, though. Oh, that would've been cool. Make 50 deductions. Okay, so now it's just pretty art. It's just pretty art. What's this? Inspect all items in the prologue. Didn't do that. Cool, so it's just art and things. Why is the very first one footage, then? It wasn't burglary. Complete the first objective. Interesting. Wow. Yeah, no, if you ever need outfit ideas, character studies, when they do like the outfit that the character's gonna wear, it's amazing. Cause like it's similar enough, but then different enough. Like this first one, they're like, let's give her like neck covered poofiness. And they're like, no. Let's give her short hair and like these drapes on her shoulders. And it just works. All right, sorry, I'm getting sucked into art. My bad. But there you go. It's a pretty art collectibles when you're done with the game. But that is Agatha Christie. And then tomorrow will be, I believe, a dev gifted game. So thank you everyone for sticking around. And I will see you tomorrow. Suzu's Mousy. Bye-bye.